What's up everyone, welcome back to a new scenario. Not too long ago, I made a scenario where Goku went Super Saiyan early, after Krillin's first death. So, why not do the same for Gohan? I think we have a pretty obvious place to start, and this still will significantly affect the story while being different from that one. Today, we'll begin covering what if Gohan went Super Saiyan early. Our story begins in the Saiyan saga. I think the trigger for this is going to be pretty obvious. It's when Piccolo dies. There are other moments we could choose later on in the story before Gohan actually does go Super Saiyan, but I think this one's pretty fitting, and still early enough to have a big impact on the series. Piccolo sacrifices himself to save Gohan, and Gohan's natural reaction is a huge surge of rage. Piccolo and Goku had actually seen Gohan's rage before, but only very briefly. That's the whole reason Piccolo trained him in the first place. But this time it's a bit different. Krillin thinks it's hopeless now. Goku still isn't here, and Piccolo's dead. But he can feel Gohan's ki. It's rising dramatically. Gohan screams and there's a brilliant flash of light. Nappa guards against it, thinking that Gohan just launched a ki attack. But that's not a blast that he launched. That's just the light from his own aura. Nappa drops his guard and gets a brief glimpse of Gohan. And the last thing he sees is Gohan with golden hair, flying towards him too quick for Nappa to even react, punching right through him. He explodes. And so does Vegeta's scouter. The numbers on the scouter went up dramatically, quickly jumping to 5 digits, and then even higher. Vegeta briefly sees it go over 100,000 at one point, but the scouter doesn't last that long, so he has to look with his own eyes. There's nothing left of Nappa, and Vegeta can't believe what he's seeing. There's only one explanation for what this is. This kid, he's a Super Saiyan. Vegeta's briefly stunned by this, and then Gohan immediately goes to attack him afterwards. Quickly, Vegeta puts his guard up, but Gohan is completely enraged right now and isn't holding anything back. He still is a sloppy fighter though, but his speed and power far surpass Vegeta right now. Originally when Gohan got enraged against Nappa, his power went up to 2800. So, assuming he went to that same level and then transformed, his power would be 140,000 right now, far beyond where Vegeta is. Vegeta barely avoids Gohan's attack, but that's only because Gohan's really uncontrolled right now, and also not very coordinated with his new power. Vegeta panics and doesn't know what to do next. Gohan then throws a bunch of ki blasts at him. Vegeta tries to dodge all of them, but some of them do hit him. He's just firing blindly, and Vegeta is actually pretty injured from this. None of them hit him directly, but if any of them did, he would have been dead. Just from being even near the blast, he got injured. He has no clue how strong Gohan actually is at the moment, but he also stands no chance against the Super Saiyan. So, in a panic, he does the only thing he could think of. He throws up an artificial moon. He knows it's pretty risky because it'll drop his own power, but Gohan doesn't have a tail at the moment, so maybe this can work. Although, who knows, it could grow back at any time. Maybe it already has started growing back. But Vegeta has no choice. He throws it up in the sky. As the smoke clears from all of Gohan's blast, Vegeta emerges from the smoke, growing larger and larger and turning into a greater. Gohan still isn't thinking very clearly and attacks Vegeta right away. We don't know exactly how much this weakens Vegeta. The closest thing I could find for this is one of the old video games saying that Vegeta's power level as a grade 8 was 70,000. This was after he was injured by Goku and he used the artificial moon to transform, so we know he was weakened, but this would mean he was weakened really considerably at this point. And he'd be equally weakened here. He was injured by Gohan and had to use some of his power to transform, but that implies his power level dropped from 18,000 to 7,000, and then obviously increasing tenfold with grade 8. So if we use the same logic here, even when he transforms, he probably still would be weaker than Gohan. Even on the higher end, you have to consider Gohan's at around 140,000 right now. Granted, I'd assume the power's fleeting, so maybe not exactly that at the moment. But even if Vegeta's power only dropped by 4,000, then he would be even with Gohan. So since we don't know exactly how much Vegeta would be weakened by this point, let's just place him at 100,000. He was injured, but he didn't use up a lot of his power in the fight beforehand. He was just dodging Gohan's attacks and got hurt by them. Still, he's weaker than Gohan at the moment. Gohan's not deterred at all. They keep fighting, and Vegeta takes more and more injuries. But Gohan's power is slowly going away. Krillin doesn't know how much longer it's going to last. As he is now, he could beat Vegeta, but Vegeta is still holding his own and fighting defensively. At the very least, Gohan is chipping away at Vegeta's health. But someone then lands next to Krillin. It's Goku, finally having arrived, and of course sensing all this far away. He gives Krillin a Senzu bean. They need to help Gohan. Yajirobe's still lurking around somewhere, but they're not even aware of that at the moment. They need to try and cut off Vegeta's tail. The fight between Vegeta and Gohan rages on. Vegeta's taking more and more damage, but suddenly, Gohan's power runs out. He de-transforms, not being able to maintain this form much longer. Not only that, he goes completely unconscious, falling to the ground below. The heavily weakened Vegeta laughs. Now's his chance. He lifts a foot up in the air, ready to crush Gohan underneath it. Amidst this battle, he didn't even realize that Kakarot arrived on the battlefield. Not like he could sense it either. He slams his foot down. But as he does, he feels a sharp pain behind him. His foot gets closer and closer to Gohan, but also shrinks as it gets closer. He was too distracted to realize that Krillin's been healed, and threw a Kienzan at his tail, cutting it clean off. Gohan is spared from being stomped on by Vegeta. And as Vegeta returns to normal, he sees Krillin and Kakarot standing. He's pretty badly injured, and did lose a lot of power, but he still has some fight left in him. Although, there's a big issue for him. Given all the power he's lost, he's only about equal to base Goku right now. And Goku tells Krillin to get Gohan somewhere safe. He'll take it from here. Goku and Vegeta begin fighting. And Vegeta really stands no chance. His injuries hold him back while Goku's at full health right now. And Vegeta's really concerned because if Gohan was able to go Super Saiyan, does that mean Kakarot can do the same thing? Goku says that he's never actually seen that before, but he still does have another trick up his sleeve, briefly using Kaioken ×2 during the battle, which easily gives him the advantage against Vegeta. Although he kinda holds back a bit because he wants to enjoy the fight. But Vegeta's not here to enjoy the battle, he's here to kill all of them. So he jumps up in the air, charging a Gallic gun and aiming it directly at the planet. And Goku simply counters it with his own Kamehameha. And he still holds back Kaioken, but amidst the beam clash, he decides to break it out very briefly, jumping into ×2 for a moment, which completely overwhelms Vegeta, not killing him but injuring him beyond the point of battling further. He falls to the ground completely defeated. Goku doesn't really consider it a victory for him though because Gohan did most of the work. Krillin flies over with Gohan, who's now conscious and healed. Goku gave him the other half of the Senzu Bean to give to Gohan specifically, and they stand over Vegeta. Goku asks if Gohan remembers anything about how he obtained that power, but no, he just remembers getting really angry, and then everything after that was a blur. It's not like he completely lost control of himself like when he turned into a Great Ape. It's just that he was literally blinded by rage. Towards the end of the battle he kind of remembered that, and that's when he fell unconscious. Krillin thinks the power was simply too much for him to maintain, and Goku agrees. Although, he'd really like to see Gohan use that again. But Krillin asks what they're going to do next. They should kill Vegeta while they have the chance. Although, Goku's not really inclined to do so. He spared Vegeta originally, and I don't see why he wouldn't do that here, especially with the fight being so easy for him. He didn't even get to fight Vegeta at his full power. Plus, what kind of threat is he if they have a Super Saiyan on their side? That is what Vegeta called it, right? And Vegeta can't believe the humiliation he's facing. Reluctantly, he retreats. He'll be back here to kill them. He'll become a Super Saiyan himself. But still, he can't believe it. He was embarrassed by a child. Somehow, he became the legendary Super Saiyan. He's a half-breed, with his father being a low-class Saiyan. Vegeta's pure-blooded. He's the prince. How the hell did that happen? For Goku and friends, the next obvious step is to go to Namek. Thankfully, Krillin doesn't really need to heal up much. The Senzu Bean did most of the work, and he didn't get injured after the fact. Same for Gohan. They just need a rest a bit. And as for Goku, it's a huge change for him because, well, look at the condition he was in after he fought Vegeta in the normal story. He didn't even have to use his full power here. Maybe he's a bit injured, but I don't think it would be enough to actually hold him back. Point being, he's in perfect condition. He doesn't need to go to the hospital, which means he's gonna go to Namek with Krillin and Gohan. When it comes to building the ship, the same stuff happens. The only difference is that Goku's on the crew now, which is a really big difference obviously. So they all head out to Namek. Of course, on the way there, they're gonna be training. And Goku's really curious about that form Gohan used. First of all, he wonders if Gohan could do it again, but second of all, he wonders if he could do it himself. Goku didn't learn much about it from Vegeta. He just learned that it was called a Super Saiyan, and it was some sort of legend. Not like Vegeta knew much about it anyways. So one downside for Goku here is that this is the first ship going to Namek. There's not a second one with gravity training built in. But still, at least he has training partners here. He spends most of the time trying to train Gohan further. After his fight with Vegeta, and after some training on the way to Namek, we'll say Krillin's power jumps to 6,000, Gohan's jumps to 7,000, and Goku's at 35k. Which seems low, but you have to consider the fact that he's not doing the gravity training and he didn't get as injured against Vegeta like normal. So Krillin and Gohan are stronger than before thanks to having Goku there to train with them. But Goku is probably going to be significantly weaker. Although the upside is that Gohan with Super Saiyan would be at 350,000 here, but that's if they can get him to access that form, which they succeed at. Briefly, Gohan taps into Super Saiyan, and then drops out of it not too long after. That's good. He can remember the feeling now, and hopefully he's on course to using it willingly. Krillin's concerned about who they might encounter on Namek. It should be pretty peaceful, but they never know, especially if they face Vegeta again. But Goku's pretty confident because as he is now, he should be able to fight Vegeta still. He doesn't know how strong Vegeta's grown, but with Kaioken ×2 that should be more than enough at this point. But if Gohan can learn how to use Super Saiyan, he'll be their strongest fighter by far. They don't want to put pressure on him, but Gohan says he can handle it. For Piccolo and the others, he'll make it right. He'll learn to use this power and find a way to transform willingly. Vegeta of course goes back to one of the Frieza Force bases, and he's mauling right now. He really needs to get the Dragon Balls for himself, but of course, Frieza's already found out about them too. So now he really needs to get moving. Things are bad for him. One of his enemies is Kakarot, whose son is a Super Saiyan, and one of them is Frieza. Thankfully, it's only going to be Frieza on Namek. He doesn't realize that everyone on Earth is heading to Namek too. So he does his usual thing and goes there hastily. He needs to work really fast. And of course, Goku's crew lands on Namek soon enough, immediately having to fight some Frieza Force soldiers. Realizing this won't be as easy as they thought, they come across the first village like normal. Krillin thinks they should lay low, and Goku wants to jump in and attack, but they get a good look at Frieza for the first time. And Goku can tell just by sensing his ki that he's unlike anyone Goku's ever sensed before. King Kai then starts talking to them telepathically. He tells them to not even think about fighting Frieza. There's no way they'll make it out of this alive. As for Zarbon and Dodoria, it shouldn't be too hard of a battle, but they don't really have a choice right now but to lay low and watch on. Although, Gohan can't contain his anger. And just like normal, he goes in to save the villagers. But something else changes this time. From his anger, Gohan's able to actually turn into a Super Saiyan here. All the scouters in the area explode right away. The first thing Gohan does is go after Dodoria, launching a blast at him. He did this basically on instinct, but it worked as a good distraction, because Goku and Krillin followed behind him. Attacking Zarbon, then grabbing Dende and Karga, also preventing Mori's death in the process. None of the soldiers can see what's going on, but Frieza's actually fast enough to see what's happening. He was distracted, but he saw someone that looked like they had golden hair, not aware that the first Super Saiyan just appeared right in front of him, the thing he's been fearing his whole life. Goku, Krillin, and Gohan are able to escape, with Gohan grabbing Mori along the way. Goku tells Gohan that was good thinking back there, and Gohan feels like he has a better hang on the power right now. He still needed Rage as a trigger there, but the transformation was pretty easy compared to before. Frieza sends Zarbon to chase them, while he looks for Dodoria. He doesn't have to look far though. He only finds part of Dodoria. He couldn't handle that blast from Gohan. He's dead. Now Frieza's a bit concerned, wondering who that was. Maybe he should go after them himself, but he's gonna need a new scouter first. And Zarbon will probably be able to chase them down, but if that golden fighter defeated Dodoria so easily, Zarbon probably doesn't stand a chance. Which is exactly right. They're able to isolate Zarbon, and right when they land, Goku gets ready to fight. Even without using Kaioken, he's able to face Zarbon, although he transforms immediately after. Still, even with that transformation, it's not enough to compete with Goku at the moment. Goku quickly kills Zarbon, and now the group needs to hurry and get the other Dragon Balls. Frieza's probably going to come for them directly, and it's not just him. Vegeta of course senses all of this going on. He feels 3 strong powers. He has no clue who that could be. He looks up in the sky and sees Frieza flying in his pod. Of course he's not going to go after Frieza, so he lays low. But who are those 3 other strong powers? There's no way it could be who he thinks it is. Could it be Kakarot, his friend and his child? He really hopes not, because that means the Super Saiyan's here, and he's going to be in a really bad situation. Sure, he was able to kill Kui, but there's got to be a reason Frieza's traveling alone. Why are Zarbon and Dodoria not with him? Are they dead? He can't think of anyone stronger than them besides the Ginyu Force. And obviously Frieza. Maybe one of the Namekian warriors is that powerful. Although, the Earthlings being here makes sense. He doesn't know how they would have traveled here without advanced space travel, but they definitely would have wanted to come here to revive their friends. And plus, it makes sense. It's 3 strong powers. Goku, Krillin, and Gohan. Thankfully, Frieza doesn't know Vegeta's lurking around right now, so that gives him an opportunity to get a Dragon Ball for himself. Currently, Frieza has 4 Dragon Balls, and Vegeta has 1. As long as he has this, he'll be fine. And quick intermission here too. Thanks to all channel members for supporting this channel. If you enjoy these vids and you want to get access to them early, also getting perks like sneak peeks for other videos, check out the channel membership. It's a big support to the channel. Also, be sure to hype the video too. It'll show me you want more videos like this. Anyways, back to the story. Mori, Dende, and Karga are with Goku's crew. The group's not really too sure what to do next, but they still are seeking the Dragon Balls, so Mori has a good idea. Maybe they should at least try and get one for themselves, because even if Frieza has some of them now, that won't be too big of an issue. They can go get the one from Guru, and then stash it away somewhere and then find some way to get the other Dragon Balls. They have the advantage because they have a Dragon Ball radar. No one else does. They're just going to the villages and looking around, so they have an entire planet to hide it on. So they make a detour and immediately go towards Guru's place, meeting him for the first time. And he's more than willing to help, especially with everything that's going on. Thankfully, since they arrived at him much earlier, he still has a good amount of time left before he dies. And here they of course meet Nail as well. Guru gladly gives them a Dragon Ball. Mori and Karga are going to stay back here with him, and Guru tells Nail to go along with them. Same for Dende. That's because he unlocks everyone's potential. Dende now has healing powers, and the other 3 warriors have their power drawn out. Gohan's power jumps to 250,000. As for Goku, he goes up to 200,000. And for Krillin, he goes to 100,000. This will give them a nice power boost and at least help them in their journeys. It might not be enough to fight Frieza, but still, it should be a good amount. For Gohan, this is pretty huge. Of course, they don't know the exact multiplier of Super Saiyan or what Gohan's power level is right now, but hypothetically, if Gohan were to go Super Saiyan right now, his power would be 12.5 million, which means he could fight pretty much anyone here with ease. He'd even be able to technically beat Frieza, as long as he doesn't go to his final form. Obviously, they don't know the extent of Frieza's power, although Goku feels Gohan's power right now and thinks that maybe he actually has a shot at beating Frieza. But that's probably a bad idea. And since it's Gohan's power, he's not going to make him fight Frieza. If Goku were in his shoes, he would definitely go to fight Frieza right now, even with all the risk. But he knows it would be really stupid and dangerous to make Gohan fight him right now just because he seems stronger in the moment. They don't know what Frieza's true power looks like. They're going to hide this Dragon Ball and then try and find the remaining ones. Let's go over to Frieza. Right now, he still doesn't know what happened. 3 random people jumped out of nowhere and killed Dodoria with ease. And as for Zarbon, he never returned. He's probably dead. And some of their other soldiers have disappeared too. Plus, he doesn't realize that Vegeta's running around the planet right now. At the moment, Vegeta's still gone completely unnoticed, at least by Frieza. Goku, Gohan, and Krillin have sensed him by now and realized that he's here. Not that he's going to be an issue, but for Frieza he's an issue because he got another Dragon Ball already. All 7 Dragon Balls are obtained right now. Goku's group has 1, Vegeta has 2, and Frieza has 4, which have all been brought back to his ship. That's where Frieza heads for now, because he needs to store the Dragon Balls here, and he also wants to call in the Ginyu Force. So he summons them to Namek. Once they get here, they'll seek out the Dragon Ball. Goku's crew travels together, and then they find something pretty interesting. There's 2 Dragon Balls stashed together. It's the 2 that Vegeta hid. If they keep their power low, they'll be fine. Vegeta might be able to sense them, but he's not a threat, and he's probably not working with Frieza at the moment. As for Frieza and his army, their scouters won't be able to pick them up. So they take Vegeta's hidden Dragon Balls for themselves. Now they have 3. While they were doing this, Frieza left his ship unattended, and Vegeta went to it. Of course, he had to fight some Frieza Force soldiers on the way, but the main reason he went here was for the Dragon Balls. Just like he thought, Frieza actually did have some on hand. 4 of them, actually. This is great. Vegeta steals them and then throws them across the planet. He'll find them later on. Right now, he thinks he has 6 Dragon Balls. He only needs 1 more and then he'll get what he needs. What he doesn't realize is that he only has 4 of them right now, and he doesn't really have them on hand either. He just threw them away so Frieza couldn't find them. But right now, he's really happy. At least, until he senses 5 powers approaching. He jumps to the natural conclusion that the Ginyu Force is probably here. So, he leaves Frieza's ship as quickly as possible, going to find the 4 Dragon Balls he stole. Goku's crew noticed that 4 of the Dragon Balls are moving randomly, and it looks like they were split up, but at the same time, they went towards the same direction. Krillin's not really sure why, but he theorized that someone must have just thrown them somewhere. Because it doesn't look like 4 separate people traveling, it looks like they just randomly were scattered about. And they're relatively close to each other. So, they go to find those 4 Dragon Balls. And it's made really easy for them. They're just sitting there. Everyone picks up a Dragon Ball. Now they just need to bring these to Bulma. They have all 7 Dragon Balls in their possession. The thing is, they should get pretty far away from everyone though, because if they do summon Porunga, that'll immediately draw Frieza towards them. And they sense 5 other pretty strong powers approaching. Not that they're really worried, because with their current powers, whoever those opponents are won't really be big trouble for them. But then they sense another power approaching. It's Vegeta, going to obtain his 4 Dragon Balls. And the second he spots all of them from above, he feels a powerful surge of emotions. Anger, fear, hatred, doubt, everything. Because not only are his Dragon Balls being taken by someone else, but it's the same people that beat him beforehand. So he lands nearby. Those Dragon Balls are his, and he's not going to let them take them without a fight. Goku tells Vegeta he should avoid fighting right now. There's no way he's going to win. He lost to Gohan before, and they're all much stronger. And while Goku would love to fight him, they don't really have the time for that. So they leave without trying to fight Vegeta, although he tries to fight them. As they fly off, he launches a Ki Blast at Dende. Goku then quickly jumps in front of it and swats it away effortlessly. He tells Vegeta he has one more chance. Get out of here and don't bother them. They're here to revive their friends and they're not going to lose anyone else. Still, Vegeta's not going to stand down. He powers up and charges a Gallic Gun. But suddenly he's blinded by something. And it's not Gohan transforming. It's actually just something blinding him. Krillin performs a solar flare, and Vegeta hears Krillin tell him to stay down, as with a single blow, he knocks Vegeta out. And Goku thanks Krillin for not killing him. He knows he wanted to before, and honestly he had every right to. But Krillin simply couldn't risk that. Plus, it's really nice being strong enough to beat Vegeta when they were hopeless before. He finds it kind of funny how the tables have turned. So the 5 of them leave. Nail and Dende know the password for the Dragon Balls, so they'll be able to summon Porunga. Goku still does think about fighting Frieza, but everyone around him is pretty level-headed and talks him out of it. Krillin and Nail are especially logical about it and make sure he doesn't do anything. Not to mention, King Kai's probably in his head too, telling him not to even think about it. They're still going to have to be quick though, because once they summon Porunga, that's basically going to launch a beacon that tells everyone to come towards them. Although, there already kind of was a beacon. The Ginyu Force has already landed. Frieza's frantically searching around his ship, but while he's doing that, the Ginyu Force checked their scouters and found a really strong power. It was Krillin. So they fly in that general direction, not even noticing the unconscious Vegeta on the ground as they fly over. And Goku can sense 5 people following them. Mid-air, Nail turns around and launches a bunch of blasts at them. Besides Dende, he's actually the weakest in the group right now, but still, Goku's impressed with how strong he is. His blasts don't affect 4 of the Ginyu Force members, but for Goldo, this actually does kill him right away. And it serves as a nice ambush to actually distract them. Quickly, the group gets ready to fight. It's a 4v4. Recoome goes after Nail, Jace and Birder fight Gohan and Krillin, and Goku fights Ginyu. Gohan's actually the strongest of the group right now, so even without using Super Saiyan, he's able to defeat Jace and Birder, especially with Krillin's help. Then they all join Nail against Recoome. As for Goku, he actually was able to overpower Ginyu, but didn't expect the body swap, so his body still gets stolen. The rest of the Ginyu Force was defeated really easily, and Ginyu got really worried, so he just swapped at the body of the person in front of him. The good thing for him is, he thought Goku was the strongest, although it was Gohan. Weakly in Ginyu's body, Goku tells Gohan he needs to fight him. And Gohan's really hesitant because he will still be hurting Goku's body, but Goku says it's fine. It won't be a big deal. He doesn't say it out loud, but they also do have Dende there as a healer. So quickly, Gohan powers up, not going Super Saiyan just yet, but showing off just enough power where he could fight Ginyu. And once more, Ginyu starts panicking and decides he might actually have to take Gohan's body instead. So he performs the body swap once more. Thankfully, Krillin's able to react in time, picking up Goku and throwing him in front of Ginyu. And as they swap bodies, Nail stands over the injured Ginyu and delivers the finishing blow, killing him in his original body. Goku has been pretty injured too because before Ginyu swapped again, he made sure to hurt Goku. Thankfully with Dende there though, he gets healed. And also gets a pretty nice power boost from it too. They're worried Frieza probably was able to pick up that on his scouter, but thankfully at the moment he actually didn't have one. He was too busy looking around his base trying to find wherever the Dragon Balls went. He knows that was the Ginyu Force's job, but as he was searching around, he of course found a bunch of dead soldiers. Not knowing who did this, he assumes it was whoever those people were on this planet. Thankfully for Vegeta, nobody knows he's there yet besides Goku and crew, so he still stays hidden. Anyone who did encounter him was killed before they can get word back to Frieza. Although, that doesn't really amount to much because now he has no Dragon Balls, and he's just lying there unconscious. Goku's group gets back to Bulma, and quickly they summon Porunga. There is one issue though. The Dragon Balls can't revive everyone at once, but the upside is, it can make 3 wishes. So someone's just gonna have to come back later, and Yamcha volunteers for that. Piccolo's brought back first, which brings back Kami, and then Tien and Chaozu are brought back. And since Kami is back now, they'll actually have Earth's Dragon Balls, so Yamcha could just be revived with that. Plus, they could probably just make one big wish and say, revive every good person killed by Frieza's men in the past few months, which would bring Yamcha back and all the Namekians back at the same time. But now, they need to leave as quick as possible. Kami starts looking for the Dragon Balls on Earth, while Goku and crew board the ship. But just as they're about to get on, it explodes. Someone's floating there above them. It's Frieza. The second he saw Porunga, he flew over. They didn't think he'd get there that fast, but he did, and he's fuming. He finally found the people that were messing with him. And not just that, they took the Dragon Balls from him too. And what's more, it looks like one of them is a Saiyan. And judging by the tail on that kid, he's at least part Saiyan as well. He did spy on Vegeta too and knows he went to Earth before, so he puts two and two together. These are who Vegeta fought on Earth. He lets them know they made a very powerful enemy, and they're not going to leave here alive. Goku's the first one to try and fight him. Thankfully, after being healed from his fight with Ginyu, he is a lot stronger in base, and he's actually able to contend with Frieza right now. He's strong enough to push Frieza into his second form, and then even his third form. Not to mention, he has Kaioken locked, and this is enough to push him into his final form. And while he knows it's dangerous, watching them fight makes Gohan want to jump in too. And quickly, he transforms, showing off his full power, ready to join Goku in battle. And this actually serves as a good distraction too. They don't realize that Frieza's feared the Super Saiyan his entire life. And now he's encountering a really strong Saiyan and then his hybrid son, who just transformed. His hair turned golden, and his power shot up dramatically. He's legitimately stunned by this. There's no way that could be what he thinks it is. A Super Saiyan? And it's a kid? He has no clue what else it could be. That has to be it. He stumbles back for a second, but he shakes it off. He still has to fight here, and he probably still has the upper hand. Gohan stands beside Goku, so do Krillin and Nail. And just as Frieza gets ready to attack, they all vanish. For a second he's confused, thinking it's some sort of trick. But he looks around and everyone's gone, including that Namekian kid that wasn't fighting, and that woman that was screaming when he blew up the ship. He puts his scouter back on. All of his soldiers are still here, but he can't detect all those small powers from the random Namekians scattered about. What just happened? Goku and his friends end up back on Earth, alongside a bunch of Namekians. Thanks to Goku fighting Frieza, he did buy Kami enough time to get the Dragon Balls for himself. And while he did want to make the wish to revive everyone else, he made a better wish because he saw no other option here. He made sure to bring all the good people from Namek to Earth. So the Frieza force is left there alone, with Vegeta also left there too. The issue with this is that they can't revive a large group of people after a year has passed. But he figured that with the help of the other Namekians, they could probably find some sort of workaround here. Worst case scenario, Yamcha and all the Namekians will be dead a little bit longer. Back on Namek, Frieza starts crashing out, trying to figure out where everyone went. Vegeta then wakes up too, finding a ship and leaving, unsure of his next move. He can't believe the embarrassment he just experienced. It was worse than what happened on Earth. At least on Earth, it was a Super Saiyan that defeated him. But here, he was an afterthought. That random Earthling from before defeated him with one attack. Is he really that weak? How did they get so strong so quickly? He was embarrassed. He had the perfect plan to get the Dragon Balls. If the Earthlings didn't show up here, he would have actually been able to summon Porunga. Well, he wouldn't have known the passcode, but still, he could have gotten all the 7 Dragon Balls for himself. While furious, he's also ashamed. Back on Earth, Mori makes a new set of Dragon Balls. Not long after coming to Earth, Guru did die, although he did pass some wisdom on to Kami, as well as Mori. And with Mori being the new Elder, they now have another set of Dragon Balls here. The first wish is kind of a cheat code. He wishes to restore Shenron's powers immediately, and with Porunga being the stronger dragon at the moment, he's able to do so. Then Kami summons Shenron. Porunga and Shenron are in the same area at the same time, which is kind of weird. Each of them didn't expect to meet another dragon at the moment, but his wish is to revive all the good people that died due to Frieza's army in the last year, which would probably revive a bunch of random people across the galaxy as well, but more importantly, it revives Yamcha and all the Namekians that died. Yamcha's brought back to Earth, and all the Namekians are on Namek still. And Porunga's still there waiting for the other 2 wishes. Mori really needs to upgrade him to revive multiple people at once. But the next 2 wishes are simple. Make a new Namek, and transport all the Namekians there. Porunga disappears and so do all the Namekians, saying thanks to everyone on Earth and their goodbyes. And of course while they were here, Piccolo and Kami met all of them, and they were left with a parting gift too. Before Guru died, he actually did unlock Piccolo's potential, and suggested that he should fuse with Kami, realizing that they're each a half of one whole. Piccolo of course doesn't really want to at the moment, plus if they did that, they'd lose the Dragon Balls here on Earth. But at least now, they know a couple other Namekians that maybe could help them out. And right before the Namekians left, they decided that if Earth ever needed a new Guardian, Dende would be the one to come back here. They'll just have to find new Namek, and Goku says that shouldn't be a big deal. King Kai could probably help them out. So, all the Namekians disappear, going off to their own new planet. Everyone killed by the Saiyans is finally reunited, but it's not over yet. Frieza still is out there, and they nearly just had to fight him, but Goku feels pretty confident. He thinks that Frieza's probably going to come here at some point, probably soon. They'll just have to train and grow strong enough to fight him, so immediately, they're going to get to work. Frieza begins frantically searching for them. He can't believe the Super Saiyan is actually real, and not just that, it was some random hybrid Saiyan, and a low-class warrior at that. Thankfully, it's not really too hard to find the planet. They already know where these people came from, and they're going to go there themselves. Frieza's going to bring his whole army with him, at least what remains of it, as well as King Cold. The Frieza Force heads to Earth. Of course, everyone on Earth isn't just sitting there waiting for Frieza to come, they're training in preparation of it. Mainly Goku wants to see if he could access Super Saiyan for himself in that time, although the time frame is probably going to be pretty short, so that's probably a long shot. But at the very least, they could do some gravity training, and he could help Gohan get a better control in his power. Plus, Piccolo does have one backup plan just in case, and he's debating whether or not to use it. A few weeks pass, and just like they expected, Frieza arrives on the planet. He had no explanation for how they disappeared, but he assumed that they had some sort of friend that could teleport them or something. And that's kinda right, they just used Earth's Dragon Balls for that. And Frieza does know that there's Dragon Balls here on Earth, so he put two and two together and realized there was probably another dragon active at the same exact time. And that's how they all got home. They didn't have too much time to prepare, and the big issue is that Gohan's really their best chance at defeating Frieza right now. Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, and Chaozu take on the Frieza Force soldiers, and Piccolo's nowhere to be seen, but Goku and Gohan step up against Frieza in Cold. Thankfully, Frieza kinda wants to handle this himself, so King Cold doesn't get involved just yet. And he's in his final form right now, not holding back. He tells them there's no point hiding it from him. Show him the Super Saiyan. Gohan's pretty nervous, but at the same time, he's confident in his power. He's not a fighter in the sense that Goku is. So he's not going to draw out this battle just for fun and to test himself, but he's going to try and finish it as quickly as possible. And I said Frieza's not holding back, but I guess technically he is because he's not at his full power right now, and Gohan could probably exploit that, not realizing that Frieza does have more power locked away. Goku activates Kaioken at the same time, realizing that Gohan probably can't take this on alone. He also could make a Spirit Bomb, but he would need Gohan to buy him some time. Plus, he'd rather do it this way right now. So the two of them fight Frieza together, and with their combined power, they're able to injure Frieza. The issue is, Gohan didn't really grow too much on Namek after getting his potential unlocked. Goku on the other hand did get a Zenkai after his fight with Ginyu, but Gohan was so overpowered that he didn't really get injured. Sure, he did train here on Earth, but right now his power is probably around 500,000. Which is still really good, but as a Super Saiyan, that means his power level is only going to be 25 million. Meanwhile, Goku on the other hand, will put him around where he was normally at 3 million, meaning with Kaioken times 20, he gets up to 60 million. So combined, they actually can take on 50% Frieza, but when it comes to 100% Frieza, that's going to be an issue, especially because this is their combined power. If he splits them, he could win by dividing and conquering. So it's a really tough fought battle. They're able to hold Frieza off long enough, but eventually he does showcase more power, and Goku can't really use Kaioken for too long. So this gives Frieza an opening to power up to his 100%. Not to mention, King Cold is there too. And this is the only time he's going to step in, just so he could buy Frieza some time. But he's not going to kill these two, he'll let Frieza do that. Goku and Gohan are pretty badly injured. The other Z fighters have joined them too, but they're not really going to be able to help too much. And they're terrified feeling Frieza's full power. And Frieza just begins laughing. Gohan's strong, but doesn't match its full power at all. And Goku isn't even a Super Saiyan yet. He feared the Super Saiyan for so long, but it was just a kid. Maybe this is the only Super Saiyan, and even if it's something that other Saiyan can get, still, there's not really much to fear here. So much for the legend. They were doomed from the start. Frieza then floats up into the air, and decides he's going to kill them all with one attack, charging a Death Ball. Gohan powers up and tries to summon what's left of his strength, and so does Goku. Frieza gets a close look at Goku, and he thinks for a second maybe he's going to be able to transform into a Super Saiyan. There's nothing really to suggest this, but he has a slight fear there that maybe he is a Super Saiyan as well, in which case he's probably screwed, despite all of his taunting. But Goku powers up, and it's just Kaioken again, and Frieza's smile returns, at least for a brief moment. Two hands cup together then slam onto his head. Someone hits him from behind with a sledgehammer attack. Frieza's briefly stunned, grabbing onto his head in pain, and he looks up to see a Namekian floating behind him. He's not sure who this guy is. Why is a Namekian here? Is that the guy that was with them before? Frieza is pretty racist after all, so he thinks this is just Nail. The Namekians all look the same to him. But no, it's Piccolo, and he tells Frieza to stop being racist. Quickly he fires a death beam at Piccolo, thinking that it was just a sneak attack that was able to harm him. But Piccolo simply swats the death beam away, and he smirks. He's glad that he gets to test out this power here. The reason he was gone is because he was on the lookout. He was watching with Kami, and when things got really dire, they decided to fuse, realizing it's their only shot at winning. Not to mention, Piccolo's been left behind by Goku and his student Gohan. Surely he can't let Gohan get ahead of him that easily. So reluctantly he fused with Nail. Right now, there's no Dragon Balls on Earth, but it's fine. They can go back to New Namek and get Dende to be their guardian. For now, he just needs to kill Frieza. Frieza launches towards him and the two begin clashing, although Piccolo doesn't really need to put in much effort. He then starts firing a bunch of Ki Blasts at Frieza, and they all miss. With Frieza criticizing his aim. He might be powerful, but he seems to be terrible as a fighter. And Piccolo smirks as he then draws his hands in. He didn't miss all of those attacks. Frieza looks around and sees a bunch of Ki Blasts flying around him. Then close again on him, with Piccolo performing a Hellzone grenade. An unconscious Frieza then falls from the sky, being easily defeated by Piccolo. And before he touches the ground, a Masenko is sent down to kill him. Angrily, King Cold then jumps up in the sky, and Piccolo simply points two fingers out, quickly charging a Makanko Sappo, shooting it right through his chest. As powerful as the attack is, it's not enough to take King Cold down, but Piccolo at least finds that impressive, and it stuns King Cold for a bit. So he completely destroys him as well, eradicating him alongside Frieza. Piccolo then breathes out a sigh of relief. If he knew he'd grow this strong, he would have fused with Kami long ago. And he tells Gohan he did good out there. Even if he didn't match Frieza's power, still, he's got to consider that he's 5 years old, fighting some sort of galactic emperor. That was still really impressive. And Goku's really amazed by Piccolo's power. Looks like he's got to push himself a lot further and become a Super Saiyan as quickly as possible. Otherwise, he'll be the next one left in the dust. Following this, Goku and Piccolo take a trip to New Namek. King Kai is able to guide them there, and the Namekians are surprised to see them right away. It hasn't really been that long, but they explain what happened. Frieza came to Earth really quickly, and Piccolo ended up merging with Kami just like Nail suggested. So, now they need a new guardian for Earth, and Dende's up for it. It's a pretty smooth and quick process, but it's kind of annoying having to take all these space trips back to back. If only Goku had some way to instantly transmit himself across the galaxy or something. But surely there's no technique like that for him. They return to Earth, with Dende as the new guardian, also making a new Shenron. And this is a better Shenron too. He has 3 wishes. Dende also tells him that Mori upgraded the Dragon Balls on their planet as well, and they're recovering pretty well from the attack from Frieza. Thankfully with that upgraded Purunga, they won't need to rely on Shenron to revive multiple people at once, because now Purunga can do that too. Cool. Some time passes. At some point, another ship arrives on Earth. It looks like a Frieza Force ship, but they're not really too sure why because the Frieza Force was defeated. But they all come to the realization that it's probably Vegeta, and of course, it is Vegeta. Months have passed since Frieza's defeat. Vegeta has been through some grueling training on his own. And finally, after all this time, he's figured out how to do it. He's become a Super Saiyan. His emotions were dialed up to 100, especially because, well, he felt pretty insecure seeing Gohan become a Super Saiyan. A low-class child becoming the Super Saiyan before him was insane. Not to mention how his pride was shattered on Namek. And he's been consumed with revenge, particularly against Gohan, but also Kakarot. So he immediately shows off the transformation, ready to fight against Gohan. Although there is kind of an issue here. He's become a Super Saiyan, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's stronger than Gohan here. Actually, he's not even stronger than Goku right now. Goku asks if he could fight Vegeta, and Vegeta just laughs at this. There's no way he could fight a Super Saiyan. His son might be a Super Saiyan, but he isn't. Really now. Goku then transforms. He just recently unlocked this for himself too. Pretty much at the same time Vegeta did. Vegeta had his emotions to work with, and Goku did actually tap into that a little bit, but more so, he's been able to study Gohan's transformation for a while. He's trained with the Super Saiyan for months and been around him long enough to actually learn how to transform into it. After all, how will he teach Gohan to get control of the form if he doesn't really know much about it himself? So Goku and Vegeta begin fighting, and as a Super Saiyan right now, Goku is actually the strongest. In base, he was ahead of both Gohan and Vegeta, but he's only had this form for about a week, so his control in it isn't really great. Same goes for Vegeta too, but the fight ends pretty quickly. Goku defeats Vegeta, and he takes another loss on Earth, with Goku also finally getting to win against him, since the last time they beat Vegeta, it wasn't really too fair for Goku. This time it was purely him that did it, which makes him really happy. And Vegeta's fuming because once more he's been embarrassed. That's the 3rd time in a row he lost to them. But at least it wasn't Krillin one-shotting him this time. He still really resents Krillin for that. He really has no clue of what he has to do now because he feels so far behind them. But Goku says Vegeta should stay here. His friends think he's crazy, but Goku says it's fine. Vegeta's clearly not a threat, and he just wants to beat Goku, which really pisses Vegeta off because he should be taken seriously. He'll blow up this whole planet and kill everyone on it. Goku says it would be nice to have another Super Saiyan around to train with. Plus, doesn't Vegeta want to learn more about the form himself? What better way to do that than train with a fellow Super Saiyan? It's a win-win for both of them, and maybe he could actually get strong enough to defeat Goku. Vegeta's really being disrespected, and he's at his wit's end right now, but he doesn't really know what else to do. He has no place out in space because the Frieza Force is gone, and he would just be traveling around aimlessly. At least here on Earth, he would have some sort of purpose, and he could gauge his power against Kakarot. But he tells Goku, the next time they fight, it still will be a death match. Just because he's staying here doesn't mean he's not going to kill Goku. And Goku laughs it off. Sure. But Vegeta has one question. Which of them defeated Frieza? Well, Goku only just recently became a Super Saiyan, and Gohan wasn't actually strong enough to defeat Frieza at that time. And Goku points over at Piccolo. He was the one to do it. Wait, what? He thought Kakarot was the strongest here. Well, he is the strongest here, when you just consider Saiyans. Piccolo's actually the strongest by a huge margin. Of course, this isn't like Cell Saga Piccolo, because he is missing Nail as part of him, but that's not really a major chunk of power for him. Most of Piccolo's power came from Kami after all, so him fusing with Kami so early puts him really far ahead of everyone else. So, with nothing better to do, Vegeta stays here, although he spends most of his time alone, pretty much living in a wasteland. At least until Bulma gets to him. But even then, he spends a lot of his time on his own, training 24/7 in an effort to grow stronger. He needs better control of Super Saiyan. He needs to get strong enough to defeat Goku and Gohan. And you know, Bulma finds him attractive, but it's really weird that he's that angry over a child. Also, kind of funny that he's not even as strong as Gohan either. Is it motivation, or is he just kind of pathetic? Either way, she thinks it's hot. She likes the weirdos. Years pass. Frieza and King Cold already showed up, and there's no time traveler or anything. You'll see why soon. Vegeta slowly gets more and more adjusted to Earth, and all the while, Goku and his friends continue training just like normal. Vegeta is kind of Goku's rival right now, but mainly he's focused on Piccolo with him being the strongest. He didn't think fusing with Kami would make him that powerful, but Even after unlocking Super Saiyan, he's still really far behind, so Piccolo's the next goal for him. He spends a lot of time training with Piccolo, who also spends a lot of time training with Gohan. The two kind of jointly train Gohan. Being the person who's had a Super Saiyan for the longest, slowly his grip on it gets better and better, and that also rubs off on Goku because he just adapts really quickly. Vegeta's probably getting a better control of it too, but he's not really spending a lot of time with Goku. There were brief moments where Goku sparred with him, but Vegeta spends most of his time alone. They're gonna have a true rematch soon enough. A lot of time has passed. We get to age 766. Amidst their training, Goku starts to feel really strange, and he just suddenly collapses. Once they find out what's wrong with him, it's already too late. He's succumbed to the heart virus, and there's nothing they can do to really help it. First of all, there's no cure, and senzu beans won't even work. But to make things worse, they know that if Goku dies here, Shannon won't be able to revive him, and probably Purunga as well. And the virus hits so quickly that there's not really anything they can do. Within days, Goku's dead. Of course, the group wants to find some sort of way to bring him back, but right now, it seems like this might be permanent. Of course, all of his friends are in disbelief, incredibly saddened by this. As for Vegeta, he can't believe a Saiyan warrior was taken down by a virus like that, and he never got his chance of a rematch. No one has a clue of what to do next. Bulma's expecting a child soon. Trunks actually hasn't been born just yet, so he's going to be born a little later. We're staying right in this timeline. And just as you'd expect, not too long after Goku dies from the heart virus, the androids are activated. Dr. Gero sends them out to attack a city, and of course, they kill Dr. Gero in the process. They don't even realize Goku's dead just yet, but in the meantime, they could have some fun, cause some chaos, and probably at least kill Goku's friends if they come for them. This should be pretty fun. The group gets word of the androids, immediately heading over to the city to see what's going on, and there's where they encounter 17 and 18. Some of them immediately recognize the Red Ribbon Army logo that 17's wearing. That, combined with the fact that they don't have any ki, tells them that they're androids. Vegeta, of course, is completely unfamiliar, and so is Gohan to an extent. He might have heard stories about the Red Ribbon Army, but he wouldn't know much else. Either way, it's clear that these two are enemies. They learn pretty quickly that these androids are actually really strong. Currently, the strongest of the group is Piccolo. So without the time travel, the androids are going to be weaker than the ones in the present timeline. We're basically in what the future timeline was supposed to be, so these are those androids who are weaker. And you might be thinking Kami's feuded with Piccolo, so he should be able to take on these androids since he was pretty even with Android 17 before. But he's also a little weaker than normal because he doesn't have Nail as part of him. Not that that makes a huge difference, but I feel like it all kind of balances out, so he might be a little below 17. Not to mention 17 and 18 do have infinite energy, so that helps them a lot. Which initially did help 17 against Piccolo anyways. Had that fight continued, he'd have that huge advantage. Behind Piccolo is Gohan, and then behind him is Vegeta. If all of them were to combine their power together, they could each take on an android alone and then kill them that way. But the androids are fighting together, they're not fighting separately. And it's pretty hard to split them up when they're stronger than everyone else. One by one, the group is killed off. Tien's the first to die, then Krillin and Yamcha. And as more of the fighters die, the easier it becomes for the androids. Soon it's just Piccolo, Gohan, and Vegeta desperately fighting. As for Vegeta, he's kind of doing his own thing. There's a significant gap between him and Gohan right now, but still, he is a Super Saiyan, so that at least helps him hang on a little bit longer. But he's no match for the androids. He's the next to be killed, with Gohan and Piccolo being the only ones left. Gohan was consumed with the battle, and all this happened so quickly that now he's looking around and it's really registering with him. Krillin, Yamcha, and Tien are all dead, friends of his. And if he doesn't act soon, Piccolo's next. Even Vegeta, who is pretty strong, was defeated. Gohan's facing a harsh reality right now. The androids are too strong to defeat. Goku isn't there to help them either. Gohan's been training so much, but still, even as a Super Saiyan at his level, the androids are supposed to be stronger than him. The androids get ready to kill Piccolo next, floating up in the air and combining a blast that they launch down at him. Piccolo braces himself for impact, but right before it hits him, Gohan jumps in front, countering with his own blast. And slowly, Gohan's blast grows in size, getting larger and larger and getting more energy in it. Then there's a huge burst of power. The blast is completely reflected, sent right back at the androids who try and block it with a barrier, but it breaks through and actually does harm them. They look down below and see Piccolo's not dead. And not only that, Gohan's there standing right in front of him, a little bit injured from taking the attack, but also looking a little different. They can't sense his ki and can't really tell he's powered up, but they notice sparks of electricity around him, and his hair is standing up more. Piccolo, on the other hand, sees a stark difference. He's been around Gohan long enough to know that this doesn't look like a regular Super Saiyan form, nor does it feel like it. Driven to this point with everything around him, and the fate of the world on his shoulders, Gohan's gone beyond Super Saiyan, now in Super Saiyan 2. He flies into the air. Golden ki swirls around him as he punches right through 17. The two androids were caught completely off guard, and Gohan kind of got a lucky hit. For a second there, 18 thought she saw a dragon hang around Gohan when he punched through. But while caught in disbelief, Gohan's foot then lands right in her face, kicking her right down to the surface. Gohan then lands next to Piccolo, quickly raising his hands above his head and charging Masenko, with Piccolo joining. The two launch Masenko together, and with their combined power, it's more than enough to kill Android 18. Just as quickly as the androids killed all of their friends, they killed the androids. Piccolo always knew that Gohan had that rage inside of him, but he didn't know it would culminate like this. Gohan knows he was the last chance that everyone had to survive him, and he wasn't going to let Piccolo die for him again. Not only does he have to live up to Goku's legacy, but it's the fact that his friends are gone. They've all died twice by now. everyone besides Vegeta at least. But Piccolo says they're not dead for good because Porunga doesn't seem to have that same limit. Maybe they can go back to Namek, but there also might be an easier way. Dende is still around here, and they wonder if he can upgrade Shenron again, since Shenron can't bring them back twice. Gohan thinks it's kind of a long shot, but it's a good idea. So they go up to the lookout. Dende's been watching everything, and he's glad they made it out okay, but still, the result wasn't really too great considering all the other people that died. Worst case scenario, they will have to go to Namek and get Porunga, but Dende's actually able to upgrade the Dragon Balls here, giving them one less restriction. Shenron can now grant the same wish twice. He's not able to make Shenron any more advanced than that, so Gohan asks if there's any way he could bring Goku back, but Shenron will still have the restriction where he can't bring anyone back who died from natural causes. But at least this gets around the fight with the androids. Everyone's brought back again. And not just their friends, but everyone who died in the city due to the androids. Krillin, Tien, and Yamcha are really glad they're back. They thought they'd be dead for good, but they're fine. And Vegeta's a little surprised he got brought back, but they've warmed up to him by now. He does ask about Kakarot, and no, they couldn't bring him back. So Goku remains dead, and Vegeta asks how they were able to defeat the androids. They were losing before, he expected everyone else to die, and Piccolo explains what happened. Vegeta's stunned. Not only did Gohan become the first Super Saiyan, but he was the first person to go beyond it too. He asks Gohan to showcase his power, and he taps back into it. He's not really sure what to call this, but Piccolo comes up with a pretty simple name, so maybe he would be the one to coin the term Super Saiyan 2 here. Vegeta was already behind Gohan as a regular Super Saiyan, and now Gohan's gone beyond that. He has a new level he needs to reach. Following the encounter with the androids, Gohan does continue training. I know it's kind of a staple in What Ifs for Gohan to continue training, but let's be honest, he probably should have done that to begin with, and especially with the circumstances here, it's not too out of the ordinary. Especially because Goku is permanently dead. Unlike when he died against Cell, he died here of natural causes. Even if he wanted to come back, he can't, at least with the Dragon Balls. Gohan's been one of the stronger fighters for a while, and he was the strongest at one point. He's Earth's best hope right now. Piccolo's pretty strong too, but as a Super Saiyan 2, Gohan's beyond that. So he wants to keep that up. He can't let any of his friends die just because he's not able to use that power. Plus, Piccolo spends a lot of time pushing him too, trying to get him to train more. And it's not just Piccolo. It's Vegeta too. There's a few reasons for this. For one, Gohan was the first Super Saiyan 2. Second, he's a hybrid Saiyan, so still, he has more potential than anyone that Vegeta knows. And third, Gohan still has his tail. Vegeta lost his and that never grew back, while Gohan, he still has it. It makes him wonder if there's any potential to use it there. And not to mention, if Vegeta wants to learn how to go beyond Super Saiyan, it might be good to train with someone who can. So he swallows his pride here and starts sparring with Gohan a bit. And he starts doing this more and more, and eventually, it turns into them actually training together. Vegeta is really intrigued by Gohan's potential. And after having a kid of his own too, this will help raise Trunks into a strong warrior, but he's too young to fight right now. Gohan of course still does go to school, but when he does have free time, he visits Piccolo or Vegeta, sometimes both together. Vegeta does this mainly out of curiosity, but also to push himself even further. Years pass after the androids are defeated, and he probably would become the Great Saiyaman. The biggest difference here is that Satan City wouldn't be named Satan City. Mr. Satan still would be a world champion though, and pretty famous, so Videl probably would still be the same vigilante she was. So Videl probably would still be a vigilante too. So a lot of the Saiyaman stuff happens like normal, and Vegeta doesn't really get why Gohan wants to dress up like that, but you know what? As long as it gives him an opportunity to fight, Vegeta won't question, even though he is just fighting weakling criminals. The tournament happens eventually, and Goku still does come back for this because even though his death was different here, he still can be brought back for 24 hours, which is great. Everyone gets to see him again, and he gets to join another tournament. But things begin changing here. The tournament itself goes pretty normal. Everything with Spopovich and Yamu happens, they meet the Kais, and then follow them over to where Babidi is. But things start changing when they encounter Dabura. He tries to attack Kibito, but Gohan immediately jumps in front of him, quickly powering up into Super Saiyan 2 and blocking the blast. He then counters with his own attack, and with a single powerful Kamehameha, Dabura is killed. Really easily in fact, which really surprises Shin and Kibito. He was really strong and Gohan defeated him that quickly, so they head over to the ship and try to find Babidi. Gohan already fought someone, so Goku and Vegeta do rock, paper, scissors. Vegeta fights Pui Pui, and then Goku fights Yakan. The fights go pretty quick, and Babidi's panicking because after Yakan there's nobody. He was going to rely on Dabura, but he's gone and now he doesn't have enough energy. He's going to have to find someone else. And then he gets a really good idea. Vegeta's there. Vegeta still does kind of have some resentment in him, plus he never got to fight Goku again. Even though Gohan was there, Vegeta might still harbor those same feelings, especially with how different his life was on Earth. He became a resident later on, and under different circumstances. So because of all that, I feel Majin Vegeta is still possible, and that's exactly what happens here. Babidi takes over Vegeta, and plans to collect energy this way. Once Shin tells everyone else what's going on, Gohan gets ready to fight him. Goku is going to take on this fight, and Vegeta requests to fight Goku specifically, but Gohan decides to ask Goku personally. He knows Goku probably wants to settle this with Vegeta. There's no doubt that he'd love to fight him right now, especially with Vegeta threatening everyone. But he also knows that if Goku fights Vegeta, he's probably going to drag the fight on and not be wary of the energy going to Babidi. And as much as he'd hate to admit it, that is true. Goku says he would want to enjoy the battle, and even if Gohan wants to ask him to not do that, he probably won't. So Gohan asks if he could fight Vegeta instead. This just angers Vegeta even more, and He expects Kakarot to not agree with it, but Goku says, yeah, that's fine. Gohan is the strongest here, and he respects his choice. After all, he wants to make sure the next generation can handle everything. Here, there's no Goten, so the next generation is just him and Trunks. But sure, if Gohan thinks that's right, he'll agree. Shin and Kibito take Goku and Piccolo and go back to Babidi's ship, while Gohan draws Vegeta away. Fine, he'll fight Kakarot later, but for now, he could finally beat Gohan. Although, he's not really sure that he even believes that, because he's been training Gohan and knows his full power. So, Vegeta draws out more of his own, and Gohan takes this as a cue to draw out his own power too. Together, the two of them both show off Super Saiyan 3. They unlocked this pretty recently. As for Vegeta, it was really recent, as in a few weeks ago. He has no control over it, and there's a lot of issues with the form, but the Majin boost did make him stronger. For Gohan, he's had this form for longer, and he's stronger in it. Not to mention, he has his tail so he can control the form, unlike Vegeta. The two already know how this fight's gonna turn out. The two launch towards each other at full strength. They exchange a few blows, but the fight is pretty quick. Gohan knocks Vegeta unconscious. The two could have a fight later on. Now's not the time. Goku's crew is back at Babidi's ship, and Babidi starts panicking. He realizes Vegeta's been defeated, and he's so close to having Buu revive. He has about 85% of the energy. No, 90% of the energy that he needs. The meter went up even just from that short fight, but still, he needs more. Gohan picks up the unconscious Vegeta and brings him over there. Meanwhile, Goku and Piccolo decide to handle Babidi. His magic is really impressive, but physically he can't match the two of them together. It's a really weird fight for them because they've never fought someone who's physically weak but strong magically. Although, they're able to break through Babidi's defenses, killing him pretty quick. Gohan and Vegeta arrive not long after. Shin thanks everyone for their help, taking Buu's egg back to the sacred world of Kai. They all return to the tournament. Thankfully, Vegeta didn't actually kill anyone just yet, so a lot of the crowd is still there. There was a huge battle royale that went down, but they still want to fight each other, so there's a few extra battles. Vegeta gets to fight Goku here, and it's a close battle, but it ends in a loss for Vegeta. Because even though he has Super Saiyan 3, Goku does too. But he can't really use it for too long because it'll drain his remaining time. And the final match of the tournament is Goku versus Gohan, a battle between father and son Super Saiyan 3s. Although, I feel like Gohan would probably win this. So, the Buu saga's over. And I know, I skipped the Buu saga a lot in my what-ifs because Buu's revival is pretty easy to avoid. Or at least, it was before. After this, we move on to the next arc. Beerus is still sound asleep, dreaming of his Super Saiyan God rival. But he's still got some time before he wakes up. So, we go forward a few years. Wait, no, we're not skipping forward a few years. I feel like we're missing something. Word of Dabra's defeat is spread everywhere, particularly in the Demon Realm. The king has been killed, and pretty easily in fact. So, that leaves his next in command to become a king. It's now in Goma's hands. Yup, we finally got Daima in a what-if. So, most of you know by now that I record my videos way ahead of schedule. Especially if you're watching the full story edit of this video. Daima has been done for a while, so that's why I'm only just covering it. But as of the time of recording, we're only on episode 17, so you could tell how long ago I'm recording this. It's actually February 10th right now, and enough of it is aired where I could finally include it in my what-ifs. So after hearing about Dabra's death, Goma decides to make his move. Now, there's a big difference here. Buu was never revived like in Daima, although he got word that Buu was supposed to be revived. Some guy named Babidi was trying to do so, but apparently that was stopped by the same people that defeated Dabra. So it gets Goma thinking. He could either get the third eye for himself, or he could try to revive Buu for himself too. But that's kind of an issue because as far as he knows, the Supreme Kai of Universe 7 has that egg. He's not really sure which route to go down, but he has two ways of gaining power. And of course, he's worried about those people that defeated Dabra. Not just because that's what actually happened, but also a Rinsu kind of gets in his head. So, he decides to make his move. The events of Daima start out pretty normally. Goma goes to the lookout, gets the Dragon Balls, particularly with Neva's help, and a wish is made to make everyone smaller. So far, the biggest difference is that Gohan's actually involved, plus the fact that Goku's still dead here. Gohan's not too affected by this wish. He's a little bit annoyed because he hit his growth spurt not too long ago. It's probably only been like 2 years. And he was strong as a kid still, so he just looks exactly as he did a few years ago. For everyone else though, especially Vegeta and Piccolo, it's really noticeable. And it's not just them, it's pretty much anyone they're associated with. Shin and Kibito were on Earth for a bit, and they're affected by this wish too, and it makes them wonder, what about Goku? After the events of the Buu saga, he actually did go to Shin to train, so he's been on the sacred world of Kai's bit. Shin and Kibito go there briefly just to check that out. Now we move up to the lookout. They all learn Dende was kidnapped, and now they need to find a way to fix everything. Glorio then arrives in his ship. Shin and Kibito teleport back in, this time with Goku. Obviously, Goku is still dead, but more importantly, he's actually still fully grown. The wish didn't get him because he's not alive, and he actually wasn't even with them at the time that it was made. And after they told him what happened, while still not really knowing the full picture, obviously he agreed to joining along. It's really weird to see everyone else so small, but he's just glad he didn't get affected. And Goku's really gung-ho about everything, so he's the one who actually tagged along with Glorio, and Shin goes with him too. Gohan decides to stay back, and he'll go with Bulma's group. Thankfully, it hasn't really been long since he was in a body this small, so he's still kinda used to fighting like this. For Vegeta, it's a pretty big adjustment. Same for Piccolo. Given the circumstances, even with Goku being dead, he's allowed to be here for now. I mean, Shin is the Supreme Kai after all. I'd assume he'd be able to just bring Goku here if he wanted. He actually was training with the Z-Sword, which didn't break just yet, and he thought maybe he could bring that along with him, but they left it behind. Gohan thinks they should all leave together, but they'd have to wait for Bulma to complete the ship, so they decide to go in groups. Not to mention, Glorio probably wants to get them to move along, so there's the original group of Goku, Glorio, and Shin. So two big things to consider here with Goku. One, he's not affected by the wish. Two, he's dead, which means he won't have any energy issues. And he has Super Saiyan 3, so thanks to being dead, that form is actually going to be a lot more effective, at least compared to how it would be normally. Gohan doesn't have this issue thanks to his tail, but at least this way, Goku gets some use out of it too. They start venturing through the Demon Realm, and since it is the same group that started out there, I don't think much is going to change. If anything, it's going to be even easier because Goku's in his normal body. Although people are going to notice the halo above his head, so that's going to be pretty weird. Probably not as weird as him having rounded ears though. They go on their normal adventure and end up meeting Pansy as well, and things continue like this up until Goku fights Tamagami 1. So at this point in the story, Goku is probably above where he was normally. And I'm not just saying that because he didn't get affected by the wish, but the fact that he's been dead for some extra time actually does help since he's been training 24/7. He hasn't had to stop. And some of that training has been on the Sacred World of Kai, so he's advanced beyond where he was before. All that's basically to say, at absolute worst, it would go the same, but if anything, it's probably going to be a little easier. The two groups continue onward. Eventually, Bulma's able to complete the ship, so her group goes to the Demon Realm. Same group as the normal story, with Ibis also coming along too. The only difference is the addition of Gohan. Plus they meet Neva too. I know you're probably thinking, this is the first time you're doing Daima and you're barely changing anything, but I promise I'm getting somewhere. Remember, Buu wasn't even revived just yet. Even though this is starting out normally, things are about to shift pretty quickly. When they encounter Tamagami 2, Gohan's the one to fight him. He's still the strongest of the group, even with Goku being unaffected by the wish, and wins that fight pretty quickly. And thankfully Gohan is pretty smart, so he's probably not going to have any issue with that logic problem that he gets. So he wins the battle, as well as that little thing afterwards, getting the second Dragon Ball. And this kind of works out perfectly for Vegeta because there's 3 Tamagami, which means he's going to get to fight Tamagami 1 once they find him. Easier said than done though, because they still need to travel through the first Demon World. So speaking of that, what's going on? Well, Gohan's a little bit concerned because not only are these people here now, but they also have an extra person here who wasn't affected by the wish. He seems to be someone who was dead before. They were really concerned because these people stopped Dabura. So without fighting Majin Buu, they don't know the true extent of everyone's power, but that alone makes them scared. Although, by now Irinsu is actually absent. You might think she's going to make Majin Ku or do, but no, she has a much better option. No need to make a brand new Majin when there's a perfectly good one right there. Marba warns her against it, but she goes for that anyways. Thankfully, with everyone being here in the Demon Realm, that means Buu's egg should be unattended. Of course, Kibito is still out there. He didn't come along with everyone, and he's probably on the Sacred World of Kai right now. So Irinsu goes there, and when she arrives on the Sacred World of Kai, the only person there is Kibito, who of course was also affected by the wish. Now, I don't even know how this fight would go, because, at least as of the time of recording, Irinsu hasn't fought yet. For reference, Daima's on episode 19 right now, and it doesn't seem like she's going to be fighting anytime soon. So, I'm going with that assumption. But either way, the question is who would win, Kibito or Irinsu. Sure, Kibito got mocked by Dabura and Kanon, but Kibito actually seems decently powerful. At least in the Dragon Ball Super manga, we see him sparring pretty evenly with Zamasu. But to be fair, super power scaling is really weird because if he truly was as strong as Zamasu at that point, Dabura wouldn't have been able to one-shot him. Not to mention, he's smaller now, so even if Irinsu does end up being powerful, I feel like this would be a really tough match for her. Kibito's probably going to be the one that has the edge. But she uses this to work in her favor. She could draw this fight out. She's not looking to defeat Kibito. She just wants to lend energy to Buu's egg, and she locates it. It's on the planet they're on. So amidst their fight, she casts a spell, similar to what Babidi did where whenever people were fighting, energy from that battle went to Buu's egg. She just replicates that here, and she drags the fight on as long as possible with Kibito, gathering a bunch of energy from it, even if it means taking some damage herself. Thankfully, she does this without Kibito noticing, and by the time he figures out something's going on, it's too late. Buu almost did have enough energy to be revived, and now, he's reached that threshold. There's a giant pillar of steam not too far away, with Kibito looking terrified realizing what's about to happen, and Irinsu looking on nervously but also a little bit excited. The egg bursts open, and Majin Buu comes out of it. Kibito calls her a fool. Why would she revive Majin Buu? There's no way to even control him. She thinks she actually can. Babidi did have a plan after all. His whole idea was to keep Buu complacent by threatening to seal him again, so she just does that. And Buu seems a little bit different from what she remembered. Marba created Kid Buu, and this one, he looks different. That's because he has the South Supreme Kai and the Grand Supreme Kai inside him, so he's more docile, which is kind of good for her. She could just give him treats and he'll listen to her, especially because she could seal him away if she wanted. So she uses this to her advantage, bringing Buu back to the Demon Realm. For reference, she went here after everyone else went to the Demon Realm. And of course, they're going to get word that this happened, so they could expect Majin Buu and Irinsu to show up at some point. But anyways, back to the Demon Realm. The group makes it to the first Demon World, and they break through Goma's forces. The last thing left for them to do is to defeat Tamagami 1, and Vegeta's already been selected to take on this fight. And thankfully he has more than enough power, especially because he even had Super Saiyan 3 beforehand. Neva even buffs him a bit just to make the fight more interesting, but still, Vegeta ends up winning this battle, although the math problem is probably going to be an issue. Not to say that Vegeta's stupid or anything, it's just no one could really perform that arithmetic. But I mean, Neva's there, so maybe he'll just tell Tamagami 1 to give him it. So, he's about to hand the Dragon Ball over, but then a Ki blast flies past them. Vegeta quickly grabs the Dragon, and Gohan then knocks the blast away. Floating there nearby is a Rinsu with Majin Buu. Shin is absolutely petrified. None of them have seen Buu before, but Shin's obviously warned them about him. So, this is the guy that they're going to have to fight before. They're not too concerned because not only does he look unassuming, but also based on his power, and their own power right now, it shouldn't be too hard of a battle. Sure, it'll be a challenge, and probably a really fun battle at that, but definitely not anything impossible at the moment. And since Vegeta just got his fight with Tamagami 1, Goku says they'll start at the top again. He'll be the next one to fight. And Goku gets ready to face Majin Buu. Rinsu of course tries to get the Dragon Balls for herself, but Vegeta easily fends her off, which isn't really too hard. Gohan keeps them safe too and asks Neva if he can make the wish. So Neva translates for them, and Piranga is summoned. Of course, not too far away, Goma and Degasu notice this. It's not like they could really do anything though, and they can immediately tell what wish was made because they have Dende with them still, and he turns back into his normal self. And immediately starts freaking out after realizing what happened. But still, even with him growing back to normal, they still have him as a hostage. And Goma still has something working in his favor. The third eye was still brought to this world, and he sent someone out to get it, and now she has her hands on it. So he just has to wait for that to get delivered and he'll be okay, even if they did get their wish. Plus, they still need to come here for Dende anyways. As Goku's fighting Buu, he looks around and sees everyone turn back to normal. This is good. All they need to do is stop Buu, and then make it to Goma's place and take Dende back. And Rinsu panics because she didn't expect it to go like this that quickly, and Gloria was just standing by and kinda let this happen. But he sticks with the group, and she tries to call Buu back. But Buu is angered by her, as well as the others. He's been ordered around by her this whole time, and these people are trying to kill him, which of course won't sit well with him. Plus, he hasn't had a treat in a while, so he's pretty angsty. And this causes something weird to happen. Buu then splits off into two people, Good Buu and Evil Buu. Shin's a little confused because he didn't see Buu like this before. He just saw Kid Buu, and then Buu after absorbing the South Supreme Kai and the Grand Supreme Kai. That gray Buu is completely different. But he could tell just from his energy that he's made from pure evil, so he theorizes what happened is that the pure evil in Buu just split out of him. Gohan gets ready to fight Evil Buu, and Goku's still ready to face Good Buu. But instead, the two Buus go after each other, which also surprises Rinsu. Goku tells him to go get Dende. He's going to handle this, especially because it looks like they're going to be fighting each other too. Vegeta wants to fight again, but Gohan says it's probably best they go over there. So Goku stays with Shin. Glorio, Neva, and Bulma go with Gohan and Vegeta, while the rest stay with Goku. But something weird happens. Evil Buu quickly turns Good Buu into candy, and then eats him, then undergoing another change. Goku's a bit confused, but as the others leave, they can sense this, and they even can witness it too. They haven't made it too far yet. But Shin telepathically communicates them and says that they've got this handled. Goku still seems strong enough to fight him, so they should go on forward. And Buu has changed. Now he's Super Buu. And at the moment, even just in Super Saiyan 2, Goku is strong enough to face him. Plus he still has Super Saiyan 3 locked away, and thanks to being dead, he also might be able to tap into Kaioken at the same time. He's kind of been holding that back, and it's a last resort, but if he needs it, he can use it. So he fights Super Buu, and it becomes pretty clear that Super Buu's not going to be able to defeat him. So quickly, Goku goes into Super Saiyan 3, charging a Kamehameha, ready to finally kill Buu. But at the last moment, Buu self-destructs. Goku's able to protect everyone around him, but that's not the main issue. The issue is, Buu split up into a bunch of different pieces, so Goku's going to have to try and destroy them individually. Rinsu's still nearby, and then she notices one of the pieces of Buu is on her, and it starts expanding, then growing larger and larger, and absorbing her. There's a couple other pieces around. One of them's on Shin, but Goku's able to destroy it quickly. Same for one that landed on him. Super Buu did this as a distraction, and now he's trying to absorb as many people as possible, only successful in absorbing Rinsu. He doesn't change much. His appearance doesn't even change, but his magical prowess grows a little stronger from this, and he gets a little bit of a strength boost too. He starts laughing. This is going to be pretty fun. Goku knows that he has to destroy him as quick as he can, which shouldn't be an issue, but Buu's going to be trickier to fight, especially now that he's more intelligent thanks to having a Rinsu as part of him. Not to mention, better magic for himself means the fight's going to be a little tougher for him, but Goku's taking it seriously, especially with everything at stake here. Meanwhile, the rest of the group heads towards Goma's place, and they're getting pretty close. They can even sense Dende nearby, and he communicates with them telepathically, but he tells them to watch out because somehow, Goma did get the third eye. He's trying to extract it right now, so he doesn't have its power just yet, but they need to make it here quick. And on top of that, Degasu's trying to take Dende somewhere else, and even though he's back to normal, he's not strong enough to fight back against him. Thankfully, they're able to get to Dende in time and save him. But then there's an ominous sensation nearby. Goma's finally able to free the third eye from the belt, taking it for himself, and now absorbing its power. Goma grows much stronger with the third eye, growing giant as well. Gohan, Vegeta, and Piccolo are the main fighting force there, but everyone else alongside them tries to help. Both Gohan and Vegeta use Super Saiyan 3 here, and at first, Goma can't keep up. They're able to completely overwhelm him, but thanks to the power of the third eye, he adapts, growing even further. It seemed like it would have been an easy fight before, but now he's adjusted to them. It looked like they'll need even more power because they don't know his specific weakness, and without a Rinsu around, they're not going to find that out either. So, Nappa decides he's going to help out. Vegeta takes on the fight, and Gohan backs off for a bit. And Nappa taps him on the shoulder, generating some weird energy in his hand and placing it into Gohan, awakening something deep within him. There's a massive surge of power. Vegeta's briefly distracted by it, and Goma sees a huge pillar of ki. Gohan's standing there in a brand new form, Super Saiyan 4. And I'm not going to lie here, I'm using the old design for Super Saiyan 4 since I don't have a lot of art of Gohan and Daima. Actually, there's none in general because he wasn't even in it, much less art of him in Daima's Super Saiyan 4. So in case you're wondering why he looks like that, that's why. Gohan gets a massive boost of power from this, and he gets a second wind, immediately jumping back into the fight alongside Vegeta. Vegeta's getting a little bit worn out with Super Saiyan 3 because unlike Gohan, he doesn't have the same advantage of having the tail. And Gohan's power completely gaps Goma's right now, but he knows that he's probably going to adapt further to it. And he thinks maybe it's a good idea to attack the third eye itself, maybe it'll do nothing, but maybe it's also a weak point. So he aims his attacks towards Goma's head. The fight continues on like this. Goma keeps adapting, and Gohan keeps trying to attack in different ways. Vegeta uses the last of his power, and Piccolo's getting pretty injured too, with Glorio trying to help the best he can. They all get in front of Goma and try to attack his head as well, which leaves an opening for Gohan. He hits Goma on the back of the head with a flying kick, and he notices Goma have a weird reaction to it. It wasn't supposed to be a finishing blow or anything, but it makes him stumble a little, and it looks like the third eye bulges out of his head. So, by pure chance, they discover the weakness. Maybe they could actually remove the third eye by hitting him again in the back of the head. And this is especially evidenced by the fact that Goma even tries to push it back in. So that confirms it. They found a weakness. And now Goma's also aware of the weakness too, and the fact that they know about it. So he starts panicking, doing everything he can, but Gohan takes charge and draws in all of Goma's attention, relentlessly attacking him so Goma can't even focus on the others. The others all fly around behind Goma, launching attacks together. Vegeta has a little bit of energy left for Super Saiyan 3, and Piccolo's still going too. They keep launching attacks at him, and it causes Goma to falter even more, and with his focus on Gohan, they eventually knock the third eye out of his head. Quickly, Vegeta grabs it. Goma's lying there on the ground defeated, wondering what they're going to do next. Are they going to kill him? Or are they going to take the third eye for themselves? What is it? And actually, they're not entirely sure, but Vegeta sticks a hand out and charges a blast, wondering if maybe they should just kill Goma right now. In his other hand, he holds the third eye. But then, Vegeta notices something weird. There's something on his arm. It's some pink goo, and it coils around his arm, with Vegeta quickly ripping it off, but also dropping the third eye in the process. The piece of goo that he ripped off him keeps moving, swallowing the third eye whole, and that's when they realize it's pink goo. It looks like Majin Buu. That pink goo then forms into a full body, and Goma then notices that some of it's wrapping around him too, absorbing him as well. A second Buu appears in front of them, and a large pillar of pink sludge flies over from where Goku is, with all of it merging together. It then forms into a brand new version of Buu. I guess we'll call this one Bulma because he has Goma absorbed. Not Bulma, Bulma. And he also has the third eye as part of him. Everyone regroups, including Goku. Wondering why Buu randomly left their fight, but now seeing why. Turns out the rest of the group defeated Goma, but now they have to deal with this. But Vegeta's really low on energy, and Goku was fighting for a pretty long time, so he's a little worn out, but it's not because of Super Saiyan 3, it's just because of how long he's been fighting. Plus, he's injured. And Gohan still has that brand new form, with Goku a little surprised to see it, but he'll acknowledge that later. Vegeta wonders if they have any bugs left to heal himself, and they see that they have the fusion bugs still. Maybe they could use that, but Goku actually has another idea, and he asks Gohan if he could buy them a little bit of time, and he should be able to. Gohan faces Buu alone for now, and this is way tougher than Goma, especially because Buu might be able to absorb people, but he's kind of stopped that now. He feels like he's powerful enough, and he's really happy about that fact. Gohan's losing ground, but he bought just enough time for Goku and Vegeta. They could have used the fusion bugs, but Goku has something else he wanted to try out, and I don't have art for whatever that fusion would be, but we're still doing a fusion here. The fusion dance, rather. Goku and Vegeta have successfully pulled off the fusion dance. Thankfully, Vegeta got it the first try, and a new warrior joins the battle. His name is Gogeta. Immediately, Gogeta goes into Super Saiyan 3, fighting alongside Super Saiyan 4 Gohan. And Gogeta is way stronger than Gohan and way stronger than Buu by extension. Even with the power of the third eye, Buu can't really do anything against him. The issue is, it's not really going to be too easy to knock the third eye out of his head because Buu can morph himself to whatever he pleases. Plus, he knows about the weakness too because he has Goma's memories as part of him. And he specifically protects the third eye, absorbing it further into himself so they can't simply knock it out. It's actually inside of his head, but that's fine. There's another way to overcome the third eye. Just completely destroy Buu and the third eye itself. The two warriors combine their newfound powers, Gohan's being Super Saiyan 4 and Gogeta's being fusion. Gogeta then charges a bunch of energy in his hand, and he condenses it, becoming a rainbow sphere. He does the same in his other hand as well. He then holds his hands out wide in front of him, and the two balls of energy flow into each other. It's a Soul Punisher, merge into a Big Bang Kamehameha. Gohan quickly gets out of the way as Gogeta launches the attack, and it completely engulfs Buu. He thinks he could handle it at first, but the moment it hits him, he realizes he's screwed. Every little bit of Buu is destroyed, slowly disintegrated by the attack, and the third eye is disintegrated alongside him, leaving behind a massive explosion of magical energy, injuring both of the fighters and knocking them back, but Buu is completely destroyed, and so is the third eye, as well as Rinsu and Goma, I guess. Would they revive Irinsu? I actually don't really know for sure. I mean, she is Shin's sister, and they had to kill Boo regardless. Not to mention, she was the one to cause all this in the first place. Degasu's also nearby watching everything that happened, completely speechless. This at least is a warning to him that he shouldn't mess with them. Gogeta then defuses, and Gohan powers down into his base. Although, Gloria wonders if he should revive Irinsu, and Shin's reading his mind and could realize that, well, he was working with Irinsu. You know what? They'll make Wish the Dragon Balls. She's probably not going to mess with them anymore either, especially after what happened this time. Plus, if they revive her, maybe she will get the message. Gloria wants it, and I feel like Shin would want it too a little bit. But now, they have to go back to the regular world, and for Goku, he's going to Otherworld. But Neva then walks up to him, placing a hand on Goku and winking like he usually does. And Goku has no clue why he's winking, but then he points up. Goku looks above him, and there's no halo there. When he places his hand on Goku, he used some of his magic to revive him. Besides the fact that he made some really powerful Dragon Balls, he has some really weird magical abilities like unlocking people's power. I don't feel like it's too far-fetched to think he might be able to even revive people with his own power, especially considering how easy of a wish that is for Dragon Balls to do. Actually, it didn't even occur to them that they could probably use the Dragon Balls here in the Demon Realm to revive Goku, because they might not have the same limitations of bringing someone back who died from a natural illness. And thus ends their journey. Warp Sama is reactivated, and they all return to their regular places. Following this, well, Goku's gonna go back to the Sacred World of Kai to train still. It was a really great experience there, and Shin still wants him back. But Vegeta would probably join him too this time. And not too long after they return, Goku breaks the Z-Sword, which frees Elder Kai. This is a pretty huge thing, because they didn't even know there was another Kai. Elder Kai hears about everything they did in the Demon Realm, and the fact that Neva was able to unlock some power for Gohan. That's funny. He could actually unlock power too. If someone has hidden potential, he could draw that out. Maybe one of these two Saiyans wants that done on them. And Goku turns it down. So does Vegeta. They'd rather work for their power. But maybe Gohan would like that because, not that he's not a hard worker in this scenario, but he doesn't really have any qualms against that, and if it means he's going to grow stronger to protect Earth, he'd probably like it. And from what Elder Kai hears, Gohan's the strongest warrior that they have. He doesn't really have as much time to train right now, and even though he still is keeping up with his training, maybe it would be nice to do this. So Gohan goes to the Sacred World of Kai's for a bit, and he gets the ritual done on him. It draws out all of his latent power, including Super Saiyan 4. He no longer has any need for his other transformations. Super Saiyan 1, 2, 3, 4, those are done with. All that latent power is channeled into his new ultimate form, and he's amazed. First, because the ultimate form is just really powerful, and second of all, the fact that he could just instantly jump into this. No need for the other transformations. That changes a lot, and Goku and Vegeta are pretty impressed with that power. It makes them wonder if they made the right choice by passing up on Elder Kai's ritual, but they then come to realize, yeah, they don't need to do that. They're going to keep training their asses off. And even though that great power is there, they're not going to go for it. More time passes and eventually Beerus wakes up. He still has the same wish and the same prophecy. The Super Saiyan God is going to be his rival. So, naturally, he ends up heading to Earth, hearing that some of the last surviving Saiyans are there. We'll say that he arrives around pretty much the same time, during Bulma's party. He first stops by the Sacred World of Kai because, well, the Kais are there. Maybe it would be good to get a refresher on what's happened in Universe 7 so far, but also, one of the Saiyans he was interested in is there, Goku. Now, he's not the strongest because Gohan's the strongest at the moment, but Goku's the next in line, and he's a pure Saiyan unlike Gohan. So he tries to fight Goku, whose maximum is Super Saiyan 3, and it's not really too impressive to Beerus. Still, he's strong by mortal standards, but it's not really going to do anything for him. So then he heads to Earth, with Kibito healing Goku, and then everyone on that planet teleporting to Earth too. Vegeta's absolutely mortified, and as for Gohan, he doesn't really know what to expect with Beerus, but he fights him anyways because he's requesting it. And he comments that Gohan seems to be much stronger than Goku, but still not strong enough to face him. That power was apparently unlocked by Elder Kai. You know, when he saw that he was freed from the Z-Sword, he was a bit annoyed, but hey, if it leads to a strong rival, maybe it's not the worst thing. Goku arrives back on Earth. Vegeta even tries to fight Beerus, but it doesn't really amount to much. Thankfully, Beerus isn't enraged because, well, he has all this great food around him, and Boo's not there to steal it. But Vegeta can't accomplish much either. And Goku wonders how a fusion would do here. There's the fusion dance, and there's that new Potara thing he's never tried. After freeing Elder Kai, and after him hearing about everything in the Demon Realm, Elder Kai told Goku that there's a thing called Potara earrings. Those let them fuse too. Goku thinks that even Gogeta wouldn't be strong enough to fight Beerus right now, and he considers maybe trying to use Potara earrings, but maybe that would have the same outcome. Plus, as far as he knows from Elder Kai, those would fuse him permanently. They don't know that it's temporary for mortals. So, maybe not worth the risk. Thankfully, they have the Dragon Balls with them as one of the prizes at Bulma's birthday party, so they summon Shenron, and ask him about the Super Saiyan God. And they learn of the Super Saiyan God ritual. Vegeta decides to step up here. He still would prefer to work for his power, and he doesn't like the idea of having it handed to him. But considering the advantages Goku and Gohan had, with Goku having been dead for so long, and with Gohan having his power unlocked 2 times recently, it wouldn't hurt for Vegeta to try something. But he kinda underestimates how strong this ritual is. They use him as the target for it, and he becomes the first Super Saiyan God. Although, there is kind of a problem with the ritual. Goten was never born here, so they're short a person. Alright, well, who's going to be the next person to join? All they have is Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Trunks, and Videl who's pregnant with Pan. Well, Vegeta does know one other Saiyan that exists, but he hasn't talked to him in a while. It's Tarble. He knows Tarble was sent away because he was really weak, but he doesn't know if he'd necessarily fit as a pure-hearted Saiyan. Only one way to find out. Whis says it shouldn't be too hard to find him. So, Vegeta ventures out with Whis, and they find Tarble. This is the first time Vegeta's actually seen his brother in a while, and Tarble agrees to go help out his brother. It's an opportunity to see Vegeta after a while, and it's not like he's really going to lose anything from joining the ritual here. So, the final member of the ritual is Tarble. He's really glad to see his brother after all these years, and it'll be cool to see how strong Vegeta's grown. Plus, they'll have some time to catch up after the fact. It's a good thing they have Tarble because, as far as they know, no other Saiyans are out there. Definitely no others. So Vegeta finally becomes the Super Saiyan God, becoming way stronger than anyone else around them, far surpassing Gohan and Goku. Still, he's nowhere near close to Beerus' level, but this is what Beerus is looking for, a true godly rival, and he's impressive. Of course, Vegeta loses the fight, but Beerus eventually comes back to Earth, taking Vegeta as a student under Whis. And Goku eventually goes along too. Beerus does ask if Gohan wants to come along, but he has responsibilities here on Earth, so he doesn't necessarily want to leave for that. That's part of the reason he got the ultimate ritual. For now, it's probably best if he stays here on Earth. Goku's not going to try out the ritual either, and he's going to try to unlock Godly Ki on his own. Maybe he can become a Super Saiyan God without the ritual. At the very least, by training under Whis, he's going to grow much stronger, and he hopes to catch up to Vegeta and Gohan, and ultimately surpass them. So now the two Saiyans are on Beerus' plan. Eventually Goku does get Super Saiyan God for himself, and as they continue training further and further, they go beyond that, combining it with the power of Super Saiyan and getting Super Saiyan Blue. With this, they have a pretty good advantage against Gohan. At least they think so, because Gohan doesn't have any Godly Ki. But Ultimate is really potent, and Gohan's actually able to keep up on his own, even without Godly Ki, which only serves to motivate Goku and Vegeta even further. But it's not just them. Piccolo notices how far ahead everyone else is. Gohan of course is his student, and Gohan's far surpassed him for so long. No matter what Piccolo does, it seems like he can't catch up. And the other two are like that as well, but this time is different. They're in the realm of gods, and for Gohan, his great potential and ultimate form make for a deadly combo. Piccolo needs to think outside the box. And he could try all these different methods of training and maybe even go to the sacred world of Kais to train there, but he doesn't know if that's going to be good enough. Maybe there's something he's missing. He needs to step it up somehow. And he might have two options in mind. He doesn't know if either of them would work well, but at the very least, it's worth a shot. Some of the Frieza force is still out there, and naturally, they want to try and revive Frieza. So the events of Resurrection F are set into motion. While Goku and Vegeta are training on Beerus' planet, the Dragon Balls are taken on Earth, and Frieza is revived. Piccolo and Gohan don't notice right away, especially because Piccolo's actually gone at the time. It's just Gohan who notices someone summons Shenron, and he's not too sure why. But it looks like they're going to find out in a few months. Eventually, Frieza returns to Earth, now better than ever. He's done a little bit of training. Not a lot, but just enough to actually get above everybody, because he doesn't really need too much time training. Besides, a mutant like him won't be surpassed that easily. It's not like there's anyone on Earth with crazy potential too, right? By now, Piccolo has returned, and of course, he and Gohan have been training together a bit. There was a reason he was gone. Alongside other fighters like Krillin, Tien, Roshi, and Trunks, they take on the Frieza Force. Trunks is actually making a good amount of progress. Even though Goten doesn't exist in this scenario, Trunks does at least. And I think it's pretty fair to say he'd be a student of Piccolo, and also train with Gohan a bunch. So even though Gohan doesn't actually have a brother here, Trunks is pretty much like a brother to him. But that's just against regular Frieza soldiers. Frieza himself steps up, and Gohan's the first to fight him. He's barely using any of his power, but so is Frieza. He's in his first form right now. And it's good that Gohan's here because that's one of the people Frieza wants to take revenge against. Not just him, Piccolo as well, obviously. Frieza's objective is to kill all the Saiyans, particularly Gohan, who is the Super Saiyan, but most importantly, Piccolo, the one who killed him and his father. He doesn't really care about King Cold. He actually wasn't even brought back in the first place. Although he finds it pretty insulting that Gohan isn't even using Super Saiyan, there's no need to hide that form. He doesn't fear it any longer. And Gohan says he's gone far beyond that now. He has no need for Super Saiyan anymore, because he has 3 other forms beyond that as well. But Piccolo steps in. Frieza wants to fight him after all. So he tells Frieza there's no point holding back anymore. He tells Frieza to show him everything he's got, and he and Piccolo begin exchanging blows. But Piccolo could tell he's still not taking this seriously, although he puts up a really good fight against Final Form Frieza. And there is a reason Piccolo's this strong, even just in his base form. So Frieza stops playing games and goes into his golden form. Now they're talking. Piccolo then begins transforming himself, and Frieza's a little concerned because he knew Saiyans could transform, but since when could Namekians do that? Piccolo begins growing in size, as orange flames surround him, his ki skyrockets, and Piccolo floats there now in a brand new form, Orange Piccolo. Piccolo explains that he didn't get this form on his own. It's a shame that he kind of had to take a shortcut for this, but after all, it is his own power being drawn out here. Following Vegeta getting Super Saiyan God, Piccolo realized that he had 2 options to grow in terms of power. 1, he could either go to Elder Kai and get the same ritual Gohan did, or 2, he can go to Neva and get the same ritual Gohan did. He wonders which one's more potent, but he decides he wants to visit the Demon Realm first. So Piccolo goes to Shin, and the 2 of them go back to the Demon Realm together. Piccolo thinks that not only can Neva unlock his power, but maybe he could learn some more things from him. In case things don't pan out, he can go to Elder Kai and get that ritual done. Rinsu is now the new ruler. She was brought back to life, and she kinda got what she wanted, just not in the way that she expected. She doesn't mess with the living world anymore, although she notices Shin and Piccolo return here, which is pretty interesting because she knows that Piccolo was once the self-proclaimed Demon King, but not like her actual position. And when they get to the Demon Realm, she immediately goes to see them, wondering why they're here in the first place. And it's just to see Neva. So they search around, eventually finding him. And he expected Piccolo to return. Piccolo says that he wants to learn from him. Not just that, he'd like to have his power unlocked like Gohan did. And Neva considers it for a bit. He doesn't necessarily have a reason to just unlock Piccolo's power right here, but he is interested to see how far Piccolo can grow. Compared to the other Namekians in Universe 7, he seems pretty powerful. Definitely way stronger than any Namekian Neva's encountered. So he makes a deal with Piccolo. He'll unlock his power, and if his power is impressive enough, Neva will show him some things about magic and his own heritage. And it ends up being a few months. Piccolo's power is awakened by Neva, and he doesn't get a power awakened form like normal, he just skips straight to orange. Neva didn't expect it to be this potent, but he's happy with it. Neva isn't necessarily a fighter, but he could still teach Piccolo some things, particularly about his own heritage and magic, so Piccolo stays here for a bit doing that. But also he has other ways to train in the Demon Realm. One way he actually trains is through the Tamagami. Neva helps by actually buffing them, and he has Piccolo fight them for fun. At one point they're even gathered all together, just to fight Piccolo. Neva finds it really interesting, and over this time he sees Glorio again as well, but we'll get more to that later. Anyways, back to the present. Orange Piccolo faces Frieza, and the battle is really short-lived. Piccolo is way above Frieza. He's not as strong as Gohan right now, but he's pretty close to that level. Actually, Piccolo is the second strongest mortal in the universe at the moment. Goku and Vegeta are behind both of them, and he's able to kill Frieza for a second time. Still, Frieza did grow pretty strong, which kinda surprised Piccolo, but he wasn't on his level. The ultimate humiliation to Frieza is being killed twice by Piccolo, not even a Super Saiyan, the thing that he feared for so long. Piccolo and Gohan continue training together, each growing further than before. Soon enough, the Universe 6 tournament comes around. This is everyone's first true exposure to another universe. Goku and Vegeta of course found out that Frieza came back, and on top of that they know Piccolo has a brand new form as well. It still seems like Gohan's number 1, but now they're going to have to compete for number 2. Although it'll be pretty interesting to see how they stack up against another universe. Piccolo wonders what Universe 6's Namek is like, but they're not going to be involved here in this tournament. Although, there is a Saiyan there, which is pretty cool. Also, someone who looks just like Frieza. But it doesn't really amount to much. The Universe 6 tournament is pretty much a sweep. They don't really have a 5th member, so Monaka is still recruited. Just so Beerus can make Goku and Vegeta think they're further behind than they realize. The first one to go up is Vegeta. He defeats Potamo quickly, and Frost doesn't even have time to poison him. He defeats Vegeta, and then he goes up against Cabba, and that fight goes pretty much like normal. Goku hopes he gets a chance because the next person up is Gohan, although Vegeta's still in the arena. But he loses pretty quick to Hit, and Hit then fights Gohan. And even with Hit's time skip, Gohan has way more power than him. And Hit could tell something's off about Gohan. He's not even using his full power here. He's fighting an ultimate, but Hit makes a comment on this. Gohan's still holding back, isn't he? And Gohan's surprised Hit was able to tell that quickly. Yeah, he actually is holding back. It's been a while since he got his ultimate form, and he's been training really consistently ever since. He knows he's on the cusp of a new form, but he's not quite there yet. This surprises Goku and Vegeta too, because they didn't know Gohan was even looking at a new form. They still haven't even caught up to Ultimate yet. They're not too far behind, but still. Gohan then powers up against Hit, just because Hit requests to see it, wanting to know if he could actually beat Gohan. It looks almost like he takes on a partial transformation. The aura of Ultimate grows more and more intense, gaining some color to it too, instead of just being white. Briefly he sees sparks of red electricity around him, and it looks like Gohan's eyes flash red for a moment. Gohan doesn't fully transform into something else, but he briefly taps into this power, and he one-shots Hit, who tries to use time skip to counter it, but that doesn't help him at all. Gohan breaks right through it. No one could believe what they're seeing besides Piccolo, because he's actually seen this before. They're trying to awaken whatever that form is, and it seems they're pretty close. Following the tournament, there's not going to be anything with Zamasu. First of all, there's no time traveler in the scenario, so I feel like that would be a big contributor to Zamasu not doing anything here. Plus, Gohan defeated Hit in Ultimate, and that was the fight that was uploaded to GodTube. Vegeta did briefly fight in Super Saiyan Blue, but Zamasu doesn't even witness that fight. He just sees these two fighting. As far as he could tell, Gohan's not using any godly form or whatever, although he doesn't realize that Ultimate is a form that was granted to him by Elder Kai. If anything, Hit manipulating time would piss him off more than the others, but it's probably not going to be enough to cause him to crash out, kill Gowasu, and start the Zero Mortals plan. So this arc's avoided. I don't really see that happening here. Gohan Black's kind of overdone anyways, so we'll go on to the next arc, which would be the Tournament of Power. I feel like it would happen sooner than normal because without a second Zeno was going to get bored. He did watch the Universe 6 tournament, and that was pretty interesting. But before that tournament happens, there still are some other things. Piccolo actually returns to the Demon Realm, this time with Dende. Dende requests to come along because, since Piccolo did learn a little bit more about magic there, he could really benefit from it as a guardian. Especially because he's not a warrior like Piccolo. This is right up his alley. So he studies under Neva and gains a lot of great knowledge. It's not like he could really do much with it as a guardian, but if he ever needs to use his magic for some reason, he can now. His healing becomes a lot more potent. He can make Shenron a lot stronger if he wants to. Plus, he wants to learn if he could buff other people like Neva did. Gohan continues training on Earth, training Trunks with him. Videl may try this from time to time, but right now she is raising Pan, and realistically, even though I would like to include her in this scenario, she joined so late that I don't think it would be realistic for her to catch up to everyone else. Besides, Videl would probably still become a martial arts teacher, and once Pan's old enough to actually learn, she's gonna have 2 martial artists raising her, which will be great. And soon, the Tournament of Power does start. Without the Zamasu stuff happening, Goku and Vegeta are actually going to be weaker than normal. So earlier on in the scenario, I said they'd probably be a little bit above where they were because Goku stayed dead for longer, and Vegeta would be training with Gohan. But they're missing out on an entire arc's worth of fighting here. Plus, the Tournament of Power is happening a little earlier too. They're not going to be considerably weaker than normal, but weaker than they were in the actual Tournament of Power. On the other hand, Gohan is the strongest, and pretty far behind him is Piccolo at second, with Goku and Vegeta close behind Piccolo. They're almost caught up to him. Gohan selected as the team leader for the tournament. They have some trouble putting a team together. First they have these 4, then they recruit Tien, Krillin, and Roshi. Goku suggests Monaka, but Beer says that's not possible. Piccolo has some ideas of who might be able to help. 2 people specifically, actually. Dende is one of the people who suggests someone. Some of his brothers on Namek are warrior Namekians, and the strongest one around is Nail, because Nail never fused with Piccolo here, so he suggests going to him. And they actually have a really good idea. Have everybody fuse into Nail just to make him really strong. They're worried about it being permanent, but Piccolo's even split himself up before. Or rather, the nameless Namekian did. They consult Neva about it too, and he says it should be possible to split Namekians. And besides, they have a really strong set of Dragon Balls, so regardless, that would be reversible. Given the circumstances, Nail agrees to join, and all the warrior Namekians fuse into him. Plus, it's the first time Dende and Piccolo go back to Namek after a while. And they see that these 2 have grown dramatically. Anyways, Nail is recruited. But they still need 2 other people. They only have 8 at the moment. Gohan suggests Trunks, and Vegeta likes that idea, but he also thinks Trunks might not be too experienced for this. He's a bit lacking in strength and expertise. Goku asks Gohan if Videl is still fighting, and she still is refined as a warrior, but she would be even weaker than Trunks, so probably not a good idea for the tournament. Well, what about Tarble? He helped out with the ritual after all, but Vegeta says he's still pretty weak, and he hasn't seen him ever since the ritual. But when they did catch up during that ritual, he saw that Tarble unfortunately wasn't too impressive in terms of strength. Piccolo has an idea. They could probably recruit Trunks, but he's going to actually go to the Demon Realm first. He thinks they should ask Glorio. Piccolo returned to the Demon Realm briefly, going with Shin too. Now, Piccolo's been back and forth from here, but this time since Shin is going again, Arinsu decides to check in and see what they're up to. They are on good terms now. It's not like Shin is really close with his siblings, but it's better than before. Plus, even though Glorio failed with the Dragon Balls, he's still stuck by Arinsu, and he kind of works as an attendant for her, especially with her having a really high position right now. Goma was never revived, thankfully. With the help of Degasu, she was able to take the throne. They then learn that Zeno is going to destroy everything. The Demon Realm is not at risk, but all the other universes are. But still, it doesn't really apply to them, although Shin is at risk, and even with everything that happened, they kinda owe it to him to help out. Glorio agrees to join, especially because he's been training himself. He's met up with Piccolo a couple of times ever since he started coming here. Alright, looks like they have their final fighter. But Arinsu suggests making another fighter. They were going to use Trunks as their final one, but now Piccolo's curious as to what she means. Is there another strong warrior down here? Like, does she mean the Tamagami or something? No, something else. How about creating a new Majin? This seems like a really crazy idea, but she's wanted to do this just to see what it would be like. And after Buu was freed, she knows to be careful with this. They go to Marba. Initially, Arinsu wanted to make a new Majin, but she freed Buu instead. But now she could actually try this out. Piccolo, Glorio, and Shin are pretty concerned about this considering what Buu did last time, but if they contribute their DNA, they can make a much more tame Majin. She'll use a Cyberman like normal, and she also does have a sample from Buu that she got when first freeing him. This way he'll be strong, but he'll have a connection to other people so he won't go crazy. He'll be good rather than evil. Shin decides to add some of his DNA too just to make it safer. So, with the DNA of Piccolo, Glorio, Shin, Degasu, and Arinsu, as well as Buu and a Cyberman, Marba creates the new Majin. They don't realize that this is kind of overkill, particularly thanks to Piccolo's contribution. She says they consider this a favor for helping defeat Goma, and she did want to do this herself as well, so she might as well. And now they have the final team member, a Majin who looks very, well, kind. The other Fat Buu kind of looked pretty meek too, but so does this one, and the best part is, he clearly isn't unhinged. Actually, he seems pretty intelligent, and Arinsu decides to name the Majin. His name will be Ku, and he'll be the final member of Team Universe 7. It's a good thing they're on Arinsu's side now, because they got a strong warrior to help them, although no one knows the true extent of Ku's strength just yet. Piccolo tests out the power of the 2 Demon Realm fighters, first fighting against Glorio. He already knows what to expect from Glorio because he's been training, but Glorio has grown. Physically, he wasn't too powerful before. With his magic, he was pretty decent, but now he's pretty good with both. Particularly because he's actually using Ki instead of just magic here. He's combined both of them together. With Neva's guidance, his magic has grown stronger, and with Piccolo's guidance, his Ki has grown stronger. As for an estimate of his power, I would say Glorio is around base Piccolo right now, which is pretty impressive considering how strong Piccolo is in this scenario. But just base Piccolo, that's all. So that makes for a pretty good addition to the team. Next, Piccolo fights Majin Ku. First off, Ku is part Piccolo, so he's faithful to him as well as the rest of the team, which is great. He's going to be a really loyal ally. But even crazier is his strength. Piccolo even goes into his orange form. And he did give part of his DNA for Ku, so it kind of makes sense. But Ku is really powerful. Marba and Arinsu were kind of worried that giving this much power to him would make him unstable, but no, he's perfectly fine. The Piccolo part of that stabilizes him even with its great strength. Ku actually does defeat Piccolo here, which is incredible. And he wonders how Ku's strength compares to Gohan, because that means he's the second strongest person on the team. And if he's stronger than Gohan, he would be the strongest person on the team. To think that they were able to create something that powerful, it's a good thing Arinsu didn't use this for evil here. She got what she wanted, and Universe 7 now has a great fighter along their side. So it all works out in the end. They go back to Universe 7. This is the first time in a while that everyone's seen Glorio, so they're glad to see him again. And as for Ku, this is the first time they've ever even heard of him. They're a little bit hesitant at first, hearing that there's another Majin like Buu, but when Piccolo explains its creation and everything, and they see him talk and act normally, they realize that it's probably going to be okay. And Beerus is pretty happy with this result. Vegeta's a bit bummed though, because he expected to recruit Trunks and, more importantly, brag about his power to the others, but now they have their 10 members. Soon enough, the Tournament of Power begins. And right off the bat, Universe 7's in a pretty interesting spot. Universe 7 isn't a huge target, because the tournament didn't start like it did normally, where Goku actually initiated it, although they do know that Universe 6 versus Universe 7 gave Zeno the idea for that, so there's probably some level of disdain towards both those universes, but not like it was normally. Plus, they don't realize that Universe 7 is one of the stronger ones here, probably the strongest universe. So things don't start out too crazy. At some point though, Goku eventually comes across Jiren, and he's of course heard about Jiren too. There wasn't an exhibition match or anything, but Whis did mention a mortal in another universe that might be stronger than his own god of destruction. So Goku's of course naturally curious. He tries to fight Jiren, and considering Goku is a bit weaker here than normal, it's even more than a struggle than it was before. This eventually pushes him into using the Spirit Bomb alongside Blue Kaioken. Even though Goku's a bit weaker, the Spirit Bomb would probably be stronger considering who's on the team. A stronger Piccolo, a stronger Gohan, and then Ku. But even with that, Jiren's able to push the Spirit Bomb back and Goku falls into it. Or, he's about to fall into it. At the very last second, an arm stretches out and grabs him. It's Nail. It's a good thing he was nearby, because if Goku fell into that Spirit Bomb, it would have been a pretty bad thing. Surely nothing good could have come of that. Goku thanks Nail, and then Piccolo comes over and heals Goku, which surprises him because he didn't even know Piccolo could do that. Despite not being one of the Dragon Clan Namekians, he still did pick up on some new magic thanks to Neva. Goku decides to fight some other people before he faces Jiren again, and as he goes away, Piccolo and Nail then lock eyes with two warriors from Universe 6, Saunel and Pirina, the two Namekians there. And immediately the two of them could see that they all had the same idea. Those two have merged with their entire planet, just like Nail did. Piccolo on the other hand only has Kami as part of him, but these two do seem pretty powerful. They all hold mutual respect for each other, especially with Nail basically doing the same thing they did. Although the fight is very lopsided. Piccolo fights in base for the most part, and like this, the fight's actually pretty even. A standard 2v2. Piccolo is able to match Saunel, and Nail matches Pirina. But they could tell Piccolo's hiding more power, so out of respect for them, he decides to show off his own strength, jumping right into his orange form. They're amazed to see this. Besides going giant, they've never seen a Namekian transform like this. Even Nail's pretty taken aback. He knew about this, but this is the first time he's seeing it in real combat. How can a Namekian get that strong? The entirety of Namek from Universe 7 and Universe 6 is witnessing Piccolo's strength right now, through the eyes of the merged Namekians at least. But Piccolo makes a promise to the others. If Universe 7 wins, he plans on bringing back all the other universes. The two from Universe 6 realize they won't win this fight, but they're glad to know that the wish is in good hands. They expect Universe 7 to win. Piccolo eliminates both of them, and the battle continues. Glorio kinda sticks with Ku most of the time because Ku is part Glorio. The two of them fight pretty well together, so even with Glorio being a lot weaker than Ku is, he's got a great support on his side. Ku has a variety of abilities that allow him to act as a great fighter, and as a great support too. Some of the gods from the other universes find it pretty interesting, particularly the Kais. They could easily tell that Glorio's from the demon realm, and as for Ku, they've never seen someone like him before, but he's clearly a Majin from that realm as well. Vegeta of course takes the opportunity to fight Universe 6's Saiyans. And meanwhile, Gohan ends up facing Toppo, a fellow superhero. Using Ultimate, he's able to defeat him, but the rest of the Pride Troopers then attack him. Not out of malice, but because they realize he's a strong warrior and he's a threat in the ring. But he still did become the Great Saiyaman here, and they respect that. And he thinks their poses are really cool. So, before they battle, they all hit a pose, and then Gohan basically takes on the entirety of Universe 11 alone. Well, the entirety of the universe besides Jiren. Gohan doesn't really need the help, but Glorio then jumps in, utilizing his magic to electrocute some of the fighters and keep them out of Gohan's way. And Ku even helps too. But with all of Universe 11 eliminated, Jiren has no choice but to stop meditating now. He stands up and walks over towards Gohan, ready to eliminate him quickly. And when Jiren stands up, it's like the rest of the tournament stops. After witnessing his power before, and just feeling it the entire time, They really want to see what's about to happen. Jiren commends Gohan for his efforts, but Belmod basically commanded that Jiren actually do something now. He didn't really care that the rest of his team got eliminated, but fine, he'll get ready to fight. He points a hand at Gohan, charging a ki blast and launching it point blank, attempting to knock Gohan out of the ring, but Gohan just stands there, completely unfazed by it. He is an ultimate and he guards against it, but still, it doesn't really do anything to him. Jiren's a bit surprised. So this warrior is a lot stronger than he thought, and he comes to learn that this guy is the son of the warrior that he just fought, Goku. His father seemed like a great warrior. Surely not as strong as Jiren, but Jiren's interested to see if his son's any stronger. The two begin clashing, and it becomes immediately apparent that Gohan is much stronger. The entire world of Void is shaking from this battle, and Gohan's got a clear upper hand. Jiren's not even really holding back anymore. He hasn't gone into his full power just yet, but he is taking the fight seriously, realizing Gohan is a true threat to him. And realizing this is a losing battle, at some point, he eventually does break out his full power. Once more commending Gohan. He never thought he'd have to use this, especially not here. But it'll be nice to fight in his full power for once, against a warrior that could handle it especially. But even with Jiren's full power, I don't think he'd be able to beat Ultimate Gohan here. This is a Gohan who basically never stopped training, and he's able to contend pretty well with Jiren. Gohan thinks it's a shame though. He has been training for a while, and he has something else he wants to try out, but he knows it would be overkill in this battle. But against someone like Jiren, maybe he can at least handle a little bit of it. Besides, he does want to show respect to a fellow hero. Jiren seems like a pretty cold guy, but at the end of the day, he still is a hero. Misguided, sure, but he still does have similar motives to Gohan. And you know, maybe Gohan humbling him in a fight like this will help him change his ways and become a better hero. He seems so different from the rest of the Pride Troopers. They all valued each other and the teamwork that they had, but Jiren just values complete solitude and strength. So, because of that, alongside him wanting to actually test his power and show Jiren his full strength, Gohan begins transforming. Once more, the world of Void starts shaking. It feels like the entire arena is about to collapse. Just from Gohan powering up, a few weaker fighters are actually eliminated from the ring, and Gohan's teammates are even pretty amazed. Some of them haven't seen this strength. Piccolo has, and Goku and Vegeta partially got to see this against Hit, but not to this level, and definitely not the complete version of this. All the remaining gods watch on equally shocked too, because there's no godly ki in this mortal, but his strength far surpasses any of the people in the ring. Not just that, it surpasses some of the gods here. Beerus is pretty taken aback too. He doesn't know if Gohan's actually reached his level yet, even if he is above some of the other gods, but he didn't expect a mortal to grow this strong. At least this will push Goku and Vegeta even further. Even Zeno begins glazing him, just like I am now as a narrator. But Gohan fully powers up. His hair now stands taller than before and is white, with his eyes turning red. This is Gohan's full strength, the level beyond Ultimate he was trying to achieve. This is Beast Gohan. Jiren smirks, knowing he's going to lose this fight, but he continues forward nonetheless. He launches towards Gohan, trying to hit him with a punch, but Gohan shouts and powers up further, preventing Jiren from reaching him without even moving a muscle, his orb basically acting as a barrier around him. Jiren then jumps back, charging an overheat magnetron, putting all of his power into it. Gohan simply sticks out a hand, and the blast flies around him. He's completely unaffected. Gohan then vanishes from sight, and with a single attack, he knocks Jiren out of the ring, eliminating Universe 11. The rest of the remaining fighters are completely stunned. There's no way they could beat that. Even Universe 7's a bit scared too, and that's their teammate. Glorio didn't realize that Gohan's grown this strong. Like, he saw him fight against Boo, but this is something else. Piccolo's been training with Gohan, and this is the first time he's seen Gohan use it in combat. But even though he's seen Beast before, he didn't know it would be like this. Goku and Vegeta are just completely perplexed on the other hand. They still have yet to find a way beyond Super Saiyan Blue. They really need to kick it into high gear if they want to get to Gohan's level. Anyways, the tournament continues, but it's pretty obvious Universe 7's going to win here. Even if everyone got eliminated and it was just Gohan left, he'd be fine. As for the MVP, it's probably going to be Gohan. And knowing him, he'd probably have the same exact wish Piccolo had in mind, wishing for all the universes to be returned. Nail did have a good time fighting, and they're thankful he joined the team. Luckily, they're able to split all the Namekians from him, so Namek returns to normal. Glorio heads back to the Demon Realm, and as for Ku, Piccolo wants him to stay on Earth for a bit. Goku and Vegeta immediately head back to Beerus' planet, trying to get beyond Super Saiyan Blue in any way possible. And they're there for a while. So long, in fact, that they're not even on Earth when Maris arrives. This is kind of a long shot. Moro has escaped prison, and he was trying to find a strong warrior that could help. Ideally, Majin Buu would have been there, so they could use the power of the Grand Supreme Kai. But they might still have a good option here. First of all, Earth has some pretty strong warriors in general, but on top of that, there's Ku. They know basically nothing about him, but he's a Majin like Buu, so they wonder if he has similar abilities. And that's why the Galactic Patrol went after him. When Maris arrives on Earth, he's able to recruit Gohan, Piccolo, and Ku. They come to learn that Ku is actually part Buu. Whether or not that means he has the power of the Grand Supreme Kai, they're not too sure. But Piccolo recounts that Rinsu actually did have a piece of Buu. That was used to create Ku, so he should have similar powers. He wasn't aware that Buu had 2 Kais in him, and now he and Gohan feel kinda guilty because they killed Buu, which means by extension they killed those 2 Kais in him. Although, that was mostly Gogeta that did that, but still. Given these 3 aren't too battle-hungry, they have a much more nuanced plan for this. They're not going to fight 1v1 like Goku and Vegeta did. Especially knowing that Moro could steal energy, that's going to be a problem. Another issue is, they might not get to Namek in time because they don't have instant transmission, because Goku's not with them right now. That worries Piccolo a lot because he assumes that Nail's probably going to have everyone fuse into him again and try to fight Moro without knowing what he's up against, but Ku decides to try something. He grabs onto them, and then performs a Kai Kai. He reminds them that he's part Supreme Kai after all, so the three of them all get to Namek right when Moro does, before he can get any of the Dragon Balls. Ku's going to fight first to see if he can negate Moro's magic, and then if not, Gohan's going to step in and just use his full power right off the bat, enough to obliterate Moro without him absorbing any energy. Turns out, Ku is actually able to negate this. Moro's a bit confused by him and then learns that he has part of Majin Buu in him, and very vaguely, Moro can sense the Grand Supreme Kai in there. He's not actually in Ku, but to an extent, his essence is in there. Not to mention he has the magic of a bunch of other people within him. He can try and take some energy from the planet itself, but that's not going to be enough. Without being able to absorb Ku's power, Moro is way physically overpowered, so Ku is able to stop him, and they capture Moro. Before they left the ship, they brought a communicator with them, and Jocko comes on over the mic. He tells them not to capture Moro, kill him if they can, because they wanted to kill Moro for a while, they just had no way of doing that. Well, Piccolo's fine with that, especially because he was trying to terrorize Namek. Moro accepts that he's going to die, but he does have a question for them. How are they all so powerful? He feels magic emanating from all of them, at least in some sense. Piccolo's obviously a Namekian. His origins are from the demon realm, but something's different. Ku is clearly a Majin, but Gohan just seems like a normal Saiyan. Well, he's a hybrid, but still. And Moro comes to learn of their connection to the demon realm. Piccolo trained directly under Neva, and had his power unlocked by him. Gohan had power unlocked by Neva too. And Ku is Ku. His genetic makeup is completely from people from the demon realm. No wonder Moro fell to their power. They have great physical strength, and great magical strength. He just didn't expect mortals to have connection to the demon realm like that. Moro remembers it pretty fondly, and he smirks, as Piccolo charges a Ki Blast, eradicating Moro. The three of them have saved Namek, and the universe as a whole. And Ku's very happy with himself. He's a hero. Everybody loves him. Like, he was doing great at the tournament, and now he's doing great here. He's a very jolly Majin. After the events of the Moro arc, as you could probably guess, there's no Granola arc because Frieza's not around. And in case it isn't obvious, that's the same reason we're skipping Broly here too. Goku and Vegeta are still on Beerus's planet, training to push themselves even further. There's now 3 people above them, Gohan, Piccolo, and Ku. Piccolo had such a great head start, and now they're at least getting close to him. But Majin Ku, they have no clue what his true power's like. And as for Gohan, that's kind of out of reach. That's also ignoring the fact that Beerus is a thing too. They of course want to reach his level eventually. But Goku has an idea. They ask for Majin Ku to come to the planet with them. And it's not like he really has much else to do, so yeah, he goes along with it. It could be a fun experience for him. Again, he's really proud of his power right now, so he'd love to use it against 2 other strong warriors. This way they can go beyond their limits. They'll be training with someone stronger than them and constantly pushing themselves. Plus, Ku is part Piccolo after all, so it's kind of like training against Piccolo. At least, partially. Let's go over to Earth now. Since there's no Granola or Moro, we'll go on to Superhero. Gohan is obviously still a scholar in this scenario. Sure, he's trained more than normal, but he's not always fighting and always training. That's just simply not who he is. So there are moments where he's not really paying attention, just because he's too busy with his work. So this leads Superhero to start pretty similar to normal. Piccolo's back at his home, meditating, until he's attacked by someone out of nowhere. Gamma 2. The Gammas are actually a bit weaker than normal because they don't have as much data to go off of. Without the Moro arc happening, the last pieces of data they had from an actual battle were from years ago. Everything else recently has taken place off Earth. It's pretty clear this guy's an android, and Piccolo feigns defeat against him. He could have actually beat Gamma 2 really easily here, but decides not to. He wants to figure out where he came from and what he's up to. Gamma 2 thinks he destroyed Piccolo completely and returns back to base. And Piccolo covertly follows behind, then stealing a uniform and infiltrating like normal. Gamma 1 and 2 are both there, and he hears about the plans to awaken Cell Max. Difference here is, Piccolo is way more confident that he'll be able to win here. His opponents are weaker than normal, and he's way stronger than normal. He's already got the head start he needs. So, amidst the meeting, Piccolo throws off his outfit and then immediately transforms. Magenta and Hedo start to panic. Magenta immediately runs over to where Cell Max is, while Hedo sicks the Gammas onto Piccolo. And in orange, he simply sticks out both his hands, hitting each of them simultaneously and finishing the battle just like that. The Gammas are no threat to him right now, but he notices Magenta's gone, so he tries to find where he went. Hedo's also gone too. He went to Cell Max too, not because he wants to activate him right now, but because he wants to prevent him from being activated. He already knows Magenta's about to panic. Cell Max is far too dangerous to unleash right now, and Piccolo has no clue where to go. This space is pretty confusing, and it's not like he could sense either of them. Both the Gammas are also knocked out right now, so they'll be no use. Then everything starts shaking. Great. He kinda thought this would happen. He senses a huge surge of power and realizes that whatever the Cell Max project is, it's probably awakening right now. Hedo thought he stopped Magenta, but he still was able to activate Cell Max. And now he's fully awakened. Piccolo heads outside, and Cell Max bursts through the lab that he's in, also appearing outside, immediately targeting Piccolo. Now, Piccolo had no clue of what to expect with Cell Max, because they've never actually encountered Cell before. But what he encounters is completely different than what you're probably expecting. Cell was never activated in this scenario. Hedo discovered Cell in the first place by going to where Jiro's lab was. He was actually nearly complete. The computer kept working on him and delayed his awakening a bit just to get some more data. So Hedo just took it for himself, modified the project, and added some things to it too. Plus, when Cell awakened, he was going to be imperfect, so Hedo decided to fix that. The project is called Cell Max, but it's actually just Cell, the same exact one Jiro was making. So Piccolo's not facing some giant red version of Cell, he's actually just facing the regular perfect Cell. The reason Hedo didn't want to free him just yet isn't because he's completely unintelligent. Like, Cell Max was a rampaging monster, they had no way of controlling him. Cell, on the other hand, is completely independent, to a fault actually. He might go completely rogue. Hedo wanted to make sure he would be completely loyal and listen to everything he says. Not to mention, he wanted to make him a little bit less, well, evil. Like the Gammas, for example. Right now, this is just regular Cell. He's going to have the same personality and motives that Cell did beforehand. Besides needing to absorb the androids, of course. So he lands in front of Piccolo and they stare each other down. Cell knows who he is too. Piccolo is part of him after all. He's pretty confident in his abilities right now. And Piccolo asks what he is. Cell humors him and explains. There's no harm telling Piccolo because it's not like it's going to change anything. Piccolo should at least get to know who's going to kill him and why. The two begin fighting, and Piccolo's able to take him on alone. He also learns that Cell was from Jiro. Cell Max is just the title for the project, but this is just Cell. And he's a lot stronger than the Cell we know because he had a lot more extra time developing and a lot of extra data. But still, like I said before, Dr. Hedo had a lot less data to work with in general, so he'd probably be weaker than Cell Max is, and not to mention Piccolo's stronger than normal, so this is going to be a pretty easy fight for Piccolo. At least at first. He's able to destroy Cell completely, but Cell's able to regenerate, coming back stronger than before and even surprised in his own ability to regenerate. He didn't think he'd be able to come back from that. And with this growth, he's able to contend with Piccolo a little bit more, but Piccolo still has the upper hand. Dr. Hedo is watching on from the sidelines, pretty surprised by this. First off, it seems like Cell isn't as strong as they hoped, but more importantly, Piccolo's way stronger than they realized. Even if they did complete Cell Max, he still wouldn't have been enough to take on Piccolo, and that's just Piccolo. There's still others out there that might be even stronger. They do have a huge gap in data after all, so Hedo doesn't know how Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, anyone else would have performed. And for a second time, Piccolo destroys Cell. And just as he fires the final attack, Gohan shows up. He asks Piccolo what's going on here. He sensed him fighting someone, and it was someone with a really weird key signature. It was like a mix of everybody else, clearly evil as well. And Piccolo's pretty disappointed. Gohan may be the strongest mortal, but he's still too scatterbrained and clearly not too focused on fighting. He's lucky that wasn't a massive threat that only he could handle. Gohan just laughs it off though. That's why Piccolo's training himself. It's a good thing he's as strong as he is. But now Gohan's not as consumed with his work, so he goes to pick up Pan with Piccolo coming along. Piccolo has actually been training Pan. She's a lot stronger than normal. It makes Gohan wonder when she's going to go Super Saiyan. When he first went Super Saiyan, he wasn't much older than she is right now, and Piccolo reminds Gohan how he got Super Saiyan in the first place. It's probably best she doesn't have a catalyst like that. Oh yeah, that is true, but Gohan says it should be easier right now regardless. She shouldn't need something like that to happen. Like, look at Goten and Trunks. They didn't need to watch someone die in front of them to become Super Saiyan. But even without Super Saiyan, she's still really strong. Like, Gohan theorizes if she were on Namek in place of him, she'd be perfectly fine, even more so, which is kind of scary considering how old she is. Anyways, a little bit more time passes. About a few days after this, Goku and Vegeta return from Beerus' planet, asking Gohan and Piccolo to come along. They've been off Earth for a while, completely focused on getting a new power for themselves, and now they've worked their powers more than enough to test this out in combat, wanting to showcase this against Gohan and Piccolo. So the two of them go along to Beerus' planet. Both of the Saiyans finally have their own unique forms, each going beyond their limits in their own way. Ku helped a lot with their training, and Beerus actually came to like this Majin guy a lot. He's pretty funny. Also, Beerus had fought him himself, and while Ku wasn't able to win, Beerus was impressed with how strong he was, and he's only been growing stronger with each passing day. But anyways, now on to the main event. Goku decided that he's going to fight Gohan, and Vegeta's going to fight Piccolo. So Vegeta and Piccolo get ready first. Piccolo goes into his orange form, and Vegeta breaks out a brand new form, something that he calls Ultra Ego. Interesting. This isn't anything like Piccolo's ever seen before, but he could tell it's definitely something akin to Beerus' power. So the two start clashing. At first, Piccolo does have a big advantage in terms of strength, but as the fight goes on and Vegeta's spirit flares up even more, that gap slowly starts to close. Vegeta puts up a really good battle, and Piccolo enjoys it a lot too. But at the end, Piccolo is able to barely win. He didn't realize that they were catching up this quickly, and Vegeta thinks that the next time they battle, he'll be able to win pretty quickly. But it was a good test for his power. Next up, Goku versus Gohan. Gohan goes into Beast, and Goku goes into a form that's completely the opposite from what Vegeta has. It's Ultra Instinct. It's a bit hard for Gohan to fight him at first because the whole point of the form is that he has automatic movements, and Gohan doesn't actually know what to expect. He expected just some sort of simple power-up, but no, this form's completely separate. It does make Goku stronger, but it also has the automatic dodging, as well as the automatic attacks. Gohan showcases more of his true power, and he's able to overcome the skill gap by doing this, defeating Goku with relative ease. Goku's really impressed by this. So are Beerus and Whis because Gohan didn't even know what Ultra Instinct was. He learned that it's something that even the gods are having trouble attaining. It's only something the angels really use right now. And the fact Gohan was able to defeat that with raw power, well, that's pretty interesting. So, Goku and Vegeta decide it might be good to fuse and fight against Gohan that way, but instead Beerus steps in. He wants to have some fun too. He knows Gohan doesn't have an interest in training here, but he still does want to test his power. He never actually got to. Despite not being a god, Beerus could see the promise in his strength. How strong is he without godly ki? There's only one way to truly find out, and he'll need to push Gohan to his limits. Whis heals Gohan, and then Beerus powers up, showcasing his full power. Goku and Vegeta are a bit terrified by this because they never actually saw Beerus' true strength. They fought him before, but usually he was holding back, and they knew he was holding back a considerable amount. But here, Beerus is at 100%. He hasn't been training much recently, but maybe he's going to need to, especially if these mortals are going to catch up to him. For all he knows, maybe Gohan is his true rival. Gohan kind of laughs this off, but Beerus is actually serious. Gohan's not as obsessed with fighting as Goku and Vegeta are, so they're definitely better off being Beerus' rivals, but he wouldn't mind facing Beerus. He showcases his full power too, and the two start clashing. Immediately, both of the fighters are struggling. Neither is holding back. This is the first time Gohan's had a big challenge in a while too. He's not too prepared, so despite his amazing strength, Gohan still does lack a lot of experience, especially compared to people like Goku and Vegeta, and the fact that he doesn't really have challenges too much. And it's not that he's getting cocky either, it's just he never really had to push himself too hard in battle. For the past few years, he's been so ahead of his opponents that he's not used to struggling in combat. But the same goes for Beerus too. The only time he ever struggles like this is when he's fighting another god of destruction, but even then he has a clear advantage in power. Here, Gohan's power is bringing him up to Beerus' level. The two of them spend a while fighting seriously, and slowly the two get more and more injured, and the battle comes to its end with a beam clash. Gohan fires a Kamehameha, and Beerus counters with his own beam, empowered with destructive energy. This helps it break through Gohan's ki, destroying it as it gets closer and closer, but Gohan then charges more and more power. His anger fuels him in this form. He's had it for so long that he knows how it functions by now, and he taps into that rage. It's kind of weird to use this. By getting angrier in battle, it helps him tap into more strength. So he's been working on trying to access that on command, which is easier said than done. Vegeta's tapping into his battle spirit with Ultra Ego. Goku's completely calm and turning his mind off all in Ultra Instinct, while Gohan has to tap into a very specific emotion, and one that you can't just really emulate on the spot. But in battle, he takes on kind of a Hulk philosophy. He's just always angry in fights, knowing it'll benefit him greatly. Plus, the frustration of this fight and fighting someone who's actually on his level, that does help him tap into a more genuine anger. So, trying as hard as possible, he's able to overpower Beerus' beam, defeating him in the battle, but it was with extreme difficulty. That battle could have easily went the other way. And Beerus is very impressed by this. Despite how close the battle was, the fact that Gohan won in general was still amazing. And Gohan's a bit humble with it. He tells Beerus he's only marginally stronger and barely won that. Beerus is giving him too much credit. But Beerus says Gohan shouldn't sell himself short. And it makes sense that he ended up becoming the first Super Saiyan. After seeing that rage displayed in combat, it's pretty easy for Beerus to see why he got that form in the first place. And you know, with destructive power like that, Beerus wonders if Gohan would be a great candidate for God of Destruction. Gohan's flattered, but immediately turns it down. He can't do that. Not just because it doesn't fit him, but because he wants to be a scholar, and he wants to live on Earth. Well, it was a long shot, but Beerus still thought it was worth asking. The other fighters are equally impressed. Piccolo, of course, has been training with Gohan a bunch, but this is the first time he saw the beast form struggling in a battle. Goku and Vegeta are very glad with their own progress, but they still have a ways to go before they catch up to Gohan, and Beerus for that matter. Ku, on the other hand, was watching, and he knew Gohan was strong, but wow, this is far beyond what he thought. He hopes he could become that strong soon. Anyways, Goku thanks both of them for coming here. By the next time they fight, Goku promises he'll be able to beat both of them. Although, Gohan says that Goku's gonna have to watch out for Pan. She's growing very quickly. And who knows, maybe she's gonna get the beast form for herself one day. Vegeta's eyes widen. Is she really that powerful? Well, Gohan is her father after all, it makes sense. And now he's terrified. Not just at the thought of her power, but the fact that he can get surpassed by a toddler. Surely there's no way that would happen, right? But then he remembers back to the first time when he was on Earth, and that's exactly what happened against Gohan. Maybe they do need to watch their backs. Gohan and Piccolo return home, and with that, we'll end off this scenario here. What did you guys think about this story? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help out the channel, and it shows me you want to see more videos like this. Anyways, thank you all for watching, thanks for supporting the scenario all the way through, and I'll see you all in my next video.